PuddCast.
At 1 p.m. this morning, Puddy rolled out of bed. He walked downstairs and he got himself some caffeine. At 2 p.m. this morning, Puddy was in the gym, clanging and banging, working his ass off like a madman. And the only thing on his mind was what he was going to do later that night. At 3 p.m. this morning, yes, I mean p.m., Puddy was on his flight, heading into the Big Apple, New York City, and he got on a train to the Bronx so he could pay respects to his favorite friend and pick up his co-host who was stranded there. He got back on the train, headed to the stadium, and now stands here, what he's been thinking about all day, to say, finally, Puddy has come back to New York City. Welcome to the show. I am joined once again by my co-host.
Hi. I'm The Rock. I mean Puddy's assistant. I mean co-host. Hello. We're here today on the 34th podcast.
19th. Oh. 24th.
24th podcast. It's very exciting.
The 24th annual Podcast Mania.
Shit. But yeah, and by annual he means weekly. But so how are you doing, buddy? How do you feel? How do you feel about yourself?
Been a rough day.
Really?
Yeah, long day.
A long day.
Things hitting you like shit you need to do.
Got up in the morning, started digging those trenches. I know.
No, I got up in the morning and I went downstairs.
Oh god, no, we heard, mister.
And I was clanging and banging. So yeah, no, it's just a lot of shit on my plate, basically.
Yeah, I mean, me too.
I panicked and just played Dota for like 4 hours.
I polished off a shitload plate last night, so I'm feeling a little better today. But I know how that is. It feels like you're always not you, but like you as in a person is always bogged down with life, and the more they get bogged down with it, the more it drives them to not do it. It's such a procrastination for me, at least. Like the more work you have, the more you don't want to do work. Definitely. And it's a problem.
It depends. It depends. I can always sink myself into a nice history essay. In fact, that's what I use to like relax from my other subjects. History essay. Let's do it. Yeah.
Even if it wasn't due, I'd be like, here, boss, got you a history essay. It's like, didn't you have a bunch of math homework due?
Dude,
Shut up.
You think I'm joking? I've done that.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, he's like, oh, so there's this essay due for like 3 months, and I'm like, I can't do this ICT work that's due tomorrow. I'm just gonna do the history essay, and I handed it in, and he's like, thanks. I'll mark this in 3 months. I'm like, oh, great, thanks. That's procrastination on a meta level.
Yeah. That's finding work to procrastinate with, so you don't do the work you need to do.
So I do that with YouTube too. I'll like write a script for a series that I haven't even thought about, just so I don't have to do schoolwork.
I know. No, I do that with YouTube, with other YouTube work. So I'll be like, oh man, I've got to record some Sims today. But I gotta start. Got to make those Fallout 3 thumbnails for the series that won't be produced for another 4 to 6 months. So I'll like procrastinate work on the YouTube channel with other work from the YouTube channel. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'll be like, I should probably, upload that New Vegas video, but then I could also, record a podcast.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. Procrastination. It gets us all down. I
mean, honestly, like if you're procrastinating with other work, that's probably the best procrastination.
Yeah, probably. If there
maybe not in the case of you like making thumbnails, but maybe in the case of finding other things that are important to do.
Yeah, I think, and the thing is, people call other people like they're like, you're a procrastinator, like it's an insult. I think most people are procrastinators, and I think the rare breed are people who aren't. it's hard to find people who genuinely have a list in their head all the time, and they do the thing at the top of that list and they work their way to the bottom.
I am with my media consumption. I'm very much like that. I've got a list of things that I do.
That's the definition of procrastinator. You're prioritizing your TV watching.
That's not true. It's not TV. It's Netflix.
Your TV show watching. Unless they're Netflix originals, in which case they can't be called TV shows because they never aired on TV.
But isn't TV just a television set?
I haven't watched Netflix on a... Well, that's not true. I did just watch Netflix on a TV. But anyway, hey.
Hey.
No, but yeah, I guess you're right. You're right. But in that case, why don't we call, like, movies TV shows?
Because their original broadcast was in a theater projector.
A film. Okay, that makes sense. We worked through that. I'm glad.
Yeah, definitions are important.
I've been stressed out about that whole TV show thing for like
Oh.
a week now.
Oh, I'm glad I've managed
been
to
getting
alleviate
to
that
me.
for you.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, do you know anyone in your life who's genuinely, like, really good at prioritizing work they need to get done? And they do it. Like, they make a list and they stick to it. Because I know people who like making lists. Like, they procrastinate their work by coming up with ways to do their work, you know? Like, they're like, okay, well, let's enter it into a chart.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I find, like, just do it. But do you know someone who genuinely does it?
It's probably confirmation bias of me feeling inferior to everybody that I know every single.
You think
moment of the
every
day.
person you know is better at it than you?
Better than it? Yes, I always say that. People tell me all the time, "You're smart, you're a genius, you're this and that." And I'm like, you know what? If you worked hard, which you do, you will beat me eventually because I'm not working at all. They say, "Oh, have you started revising yet, Paddy?" I'm like, "It's not a week before the exam. I won't remember any of it." You know, I say that, but I'm just lazy as hell. You know, and that's basically what it is. And I feel like, yeah, I look around, there's guys like doing work in the day. I'm like, what? Why are you working? It's time to relax. You know?
Why did you have a lemonade in your hands?
Yeah.
Sit back.
I not literally like that. We were doing work today, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go get a coffee so that I can drink it over the course of the next 2 hours, so I don't have to do any work.
It's like yeah, it's picking something that takes a while to drink. Coffee. Maybe that's why tea is the choice drink in Britain. It's a procrastinator's drink. It's like, well, we could do our work, but it's tea time. We've got to drink for an hour.
I think that tea thing is a stereotype.
You think so?
Because I don't see people drinking tea.
Maybe, I mean, it's definitely a stereotype. I think it was true 100 years ago. It's probably not now.
Perhaps, yes. I wouldn't be super surprised, but I wouldn't be super surprised if that was also false.
Really? Well, it had to exist at some point. Right? I mean,
there has to be some truth in it, but I don't think
tea were major exports of the British Empire.
I don't think the working classes ever were that interested in tea.
Like if the real world were like civilization, the civilization like the game, the civilization
if real life was civilized.
like the video game, then England would constantly be giving you a notification saying London wants tea as a resource.
See, it was the nobility and the aristocracy mainly.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
maybe that's the difference. Maybe now it's so you don't see anyone drinking tea. Do you not drink tea?
On occasion, but I much prefer mocha.
Well, you do live in Wales, to be fair.
Mocha coffee. Yeah, but I also travel a lot.
I don't know. I've heard probably more Londoners than not, like people from London, talk about say that drinking tea is a part of their day. So I think it's more popular in
Are you
London.
sure it's drinking tea and you're not confusing it with the meal that is called tea?
No, they actually say like they talk about like I like Earl Grey or chamomile.
Okay. Interesting.
We talk shop. I occasionally like tea, but tea is like one of those drinks where you have to like prepare it. It's almost like making food. It's like a difficult thing. And for me, a drink should be just something you pour. It's easy.
I mean, coffee's quite difficult to make.
I don't like coffee. Not only as a like from the making standpoint, I don't like the taste of it, so I don't even deal with coffee.
I'm the opposite. Yeah, I hate tea. Yeah.
I think coffee's disgusting. I deal with tea because it relaxes me. I don't love the taste of tea, but if I get a good tea, it can relax me because it's nice and warm. But coffee is like black piss to me. It's disgusting.
That's your problem. You're drinking it black.
Okay, I've had it with creamer too, and it's disgusting there too.
So then it's brown piss.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds racist, but yeah. No,
well, have you ever had a mocha?
a mocha? I've never heard it pronounced maca. That's a weird pronunciation. I like that though. Maca.
Mochaccino.
Sounds like you're mocking someone. Maca. Anyway, yeah. I've had a mocha macchiato. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. That's what I drink.
I mean, I like drinks from Starbucks, but I don't consider that coffee. Like,
have you got Costa coffee over there?
No, I don't think so.
Really, that's weird. But I thought it was I thought it was Starbucks' like tiny little competitor. But oh well.
It might exist in the big cities. Like, I don't know. There's tons of chains that only exist in like New York and Chicago that I don't know about. But it doesn't exist in my town. In my medium-sized city.
Well, Starbucks doesn't even exist in my town.
Wow. Oh god. Okay.
Yeah. Although there are two in Bridgend, right next to each other.
Well, that's weird. Oh yeah, you told me about that. They're like right next to each other.
Yeah. They're like in the same area, like McDonald's, Starbucks, clothes shop, Starbucks.
You know, I bet those two guys were like growing up. They were like competitive with each other, and they were both like, "Yo, I'm gonna open a Starbucks franchise." Like, no, I'm gonna open a Starbucks franchise, and they open it right next to each other and see who goes out of business first.
You know, like I know this is just random business talk, and this probably isn't that interesting, but one of the greatest things, I travel a lot, like I said. One of the greatest things I saw on the road was when Starbucks had a like really big grip over an area. Costa Coffee wouldn't have a shop there at all. They would just put a tiny little machine there that you could buy your coffee from, like a vending machine for coffee. And it was awesome because it like low cost and there were loads of people there. Great way to keep in business.
A vending machine, that's cool. I like that.
Well,
I think I've seen those at hospitals.
Yeah, it distributes the coffee, the vending machine, and then you go and pay for it at a local convenience shop that's right next to it.
Wait, so now when you say vending machine, now I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure because like at hospitals they have basically it's like next to the vending machines, like they have a you can pull your cup out and put it under the coffee machine and it'll dispense your coffee. Or do you mean a literal vending machine?
No, I mean the first one. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I was like, I don't know how hot coffee's gonna come out of a vending machine like that. It's like the cup, it's already filled, drops down, spills everywhere.
Well, you could do like a sealed.
Yeah, but then it'd be like I can imagine if it was like cold coffees in cans.
No, because you could have like radiators inside the machine.
Okay. I mean, they do have those new... Have you seen those new vending machines where, like, the arm gently puts it down? Like, it picks it up and then carries it down?
Oh, I haven't, no.
Oh, they're like, next level shit. They're awesome. So, like, instead of the vending machines where it just drops a story and gets all fizzy, it basically, it's like this little mechanical arm that goes to the place you picked, and then it falls into the little slot, like, just gently, like, leans into it, then it carries it down and pops it into the container and you just pick it up, so it's not fizzy. I like it. It's cool. It's also fun to watch. It's like a robot.
I haven't used like proper vending machines in like a long time. Like barely used them because they removed them from all our schools in this country a long time ago. Like 4 or 5, maybe even longer. Like probably like 8 years ago now. Just like no vending machines, at least in Wales. Just we haven't found healthy ones that like are approved and they're expensive. Just problems with them. So there's not vending machines in my school at the very least.
We have vending machines, but like pop is banned. So we have things like juice and like bags of baked chips, things like that. But yeah, what were you saying?
There are only 2 vending machines in my local area that I can think of, and they're both in the sports center. And they distribute, I think, crisps on one end, and on the other one they distribute water, and I think they might have pop in there.
You think they would have protein milk and stuff like that if it's a sports center? Is it a sports center or a gym?
It's a sports. There's a gym there, but it's also got a football hall, a dance hall. It's a big squash courts.
It's weird that they don't have protein drinks.
You ever played squash?
I haven't.
It's great. It's good.
Is it like racquetball?
Yes, but with a smaller ball. I think that's the only difference.
Oh, well then I've played racquetball. That's a lot of fun.
Racquetball is hitting a ball against a wall against one person, right?
You're in a closed room basically, and it's like tennis, but you're bouncing the balls off walls.
Off walls.
Yeah.
But only the front wall. You can't hit the side ones.
I think I haven't played it in a really long time, but I think that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to get it above a certain line. It's fun. It's a great game.
It's very fun. I like it because it's like loud and everything resonates in the room.
Yes.
It's a cool place. It's a cool. I think I think a racquetball room or a squash room would be a really cool place to do other things, like have a dance hall in.
A court.
Okay, a court. I think that'd be a cool place to like have a dance hall in and like have music resonating everywhere. There'd be some cool things they could do in rooms like that. They're so resonant and everything echoes and echoes.
We had a party in a squash court recently.
Really? Was everything really loud?
2 months ago. We didn't pop in there often. It was like off to the side, and we went in there a couple of times. Okay. Wasn't really that loud. Echoey. Yeah. There's like a couple of us in there. Like we were doing like jumps off the walls and shit.
I'd be scared to like in a room like that. I'd be scared to talk bad about someone because if you're in the other corner, even if you're like just like talking quietly, they could if they focused in on it, they could hear it from the other side of the room. They'd be like, "Hey, what you saying about me?"
But going back to the original topic, the reason why they don't think they have the protein stuff in there is because those vending machines have been there for how long have I lived here? Like 11 years, maybe?
Yeah, but I mean, they choose what they stock in there. It's not like they've had the same product.
It's been the same for 11 years.
Like, they've never run out of product in that vending machine. No one's ever...
I imagine when Bounty changed, they changed it. But it's been the same product, man.
I see that physically... Okay, they've definitely run out. They've had to
I'm not saying it's been oh shit, it's that bottle of Coke from 1998. Well,
that's what I thought you meant.
But I mean, like, it's the same range. I don't think it's changed. I've never seen it change.
I think
it's
weird.
Same brand of water, for fuck's sake.
Well, I mean, it's water. I don't.
But I mean, I'm a water connoisseur, and I know the companies that have died over the last couple of years.
Yeah, but they don't have a lot of water choices in vending machines usually, unless it's a water vending machine, which I've seen those.
But you can just put the bottles from the stores in there.
You can.
So they do have a lot of choice. They can use any of the brands.
No, they have a choice. I'm saying we don't. I've never been to a water vending machine where they had more than 2 brands of water. Like, I think one time maybe.
What I'm saying is they've never replaced the brand. It's been the same for like 11 years.
What brand is it?
It might be Evian.
I thought you liked that.
I do. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's weird. It's so stagnant.
I sometimes see vending machines at old rest stops, and they freak me out because the cans are very obviously like I see them and I'm like, I recognize that design. Wasn't that used 8 years ago? and I'm like, pretty sure that's disgusting.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like our road system so much is our services are so up to date. So up to date. Like, we've got really great services with great new stuff coming in, and it's like I think it's a government initiative even to have services.
In the U.S., the infrastructure is so reliant on state funding. So basically, because of that, depending on how nice your state is, that will equal how nice your roads are. You live in Indiana, you got your roads are You live in Virginia, oh my God, your roads are like sparkling, and there's like attendants everywhere. It's beautiful. It's incredible. You live in West Virginia, you're lucky if you got a dirt road. Okay, like it's just.
What about, are your highways like federal controlled or is
highways are all the same? But like rest stops are different. Are like
because our services are directly connected to our motorways.
Mm-hmm. No, our like so are rest stops, but the rest stops themselves are administered and controlled by the state, while the interstate. Like, it depends. If it's a highway that only goes through that state, then I would imagine the state has to fund it. But if it's a highway that goes across state boundaries, then the federal government funds it.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah.
I love our motorways. I probably talked about this on the podcast before, but I love them. One of my favorite things. I mean, there's certain problems with them. Like they slow down. They slow them down far too often. And I do think the speed limit should be higher. National speed limit should be higher.
I don't like motorways just because drivers get crazy on them. Trucks get insane on them. Every time I'm driving down a highway and there's a truck next to me, I've never bearing for dear life.
The trucks haven't been that bad from what I've seen. Like they never get in the fast lane. I've never seen them in the fast lane. I've seen them in the middle lane.
Well, welcome to America. They go all over the place.
Are you talking about trucks like your big cars?
Big
or
wheelers.
Trucks in like your like The trucks is in your
Huge
like
ones.
storage ones.
They could crush 8 cars without breaking. Those kinds of trucks.
Like
Big
cargo
wheelers.
ones.
Yeah, cargo trucks.
Not bed, not like what's the words? You guys buy a lot of them. They're like the $40,000, $50,000 cars.
Flatbed trucks, you mean?
Yeah. Not
The
them.
big wheelers, they have 18 wheels?
No, I'm talking about four-wheel. Yeah, four-wheelers. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about. I mean, those are there too, but I'm not
talking
worried
about a
that.
cargo truck.
I'm talking about 18 wheelers. Yeah, they're enormous. And those things are a lot of like. Some of them are okay, but you don't know, and a lot of their drivers are crazy, insane.
I mean, yeah, like they have their own separate speed limit over here, but nobody ever sticks to the speed limit on the motorway. Because why would you?
It's insane. The oh god, yeah. People. I mean, most people are always going 20 miles over the speed limit, whatever it is.
It's gotta be, yeah. You gotta go 20 over.
Why? You have to go? Oh, I don't think so.
You gotta be going like when you're on that straight of a motorway where there's no hazards at all. 80 is a minimum for me as a speed limit.
But what if the speed limit is 80? You should still go 20 over?
It's not. The national speed
yeah,
limit
but what
is
if
70.
it is? You should still go 20 over?
There's no speed limit that's over 70. 70 is the maximum speed limit. That's what I'm saying. Like our current speed limits, you've got to go 20 over. I'm talking about a motorway with the speed limit.
But why
is
do you
always
have
70.
to go 20 over? Because it's just too slow?
Yeah. Yeah, 70 is too slow for that type of road.
I find most of the time if I focus on trying to pass cars and going faster and faster, the trip seems longer to me. If I relax and go 10 miles under the speed limit, to me it always feels like the trip goes by faster because I'm not worrying about it. I'm just sort of going on. I'm having a good time.
You barely have to overtake. You overtake like once or...
I undertake. I like to let people
You're not allowed
pass
to
me.
do that.
Yeah, you are.
Like, undertake means overtaking someone from an inside lane.
That's not what I meant. Never mind. I just meant I let people pass me. I don't worry about it.
See, no, I haven't driven on one, but I go on them a lot in the passenger seat, and you barely have to overtake. Like you just overtake, and then you're back in the slow lane going 90 miles an hour.
For me it's like if you're going, especially if you're going over the speed limit, you're going to be overtaking someone probably every minute, if that probably every 40 seconds, and so it's constant. And I just like if I'm going on a long trip, I just want to relax, and I'm just going to stay in the slow lane the whole time, cruising at 60 no 60 or 70 depending on what the road is, because the speed limits here on our motorways are all really different. I'm not sure what the like national limit is on speed. Maybe it's 90, maybe it's 80. I don't know. But for me, I've always been more of at least on the motorway, I like going slow. When I'm in the city, I like going fast just because I like city driving. I like city driving. It's fun.
Way more dangerous in the city to go fast than
I know, that's why it's fun. I mean, I'm not going 80 in the city, but you know, if the speed limit's 30, I'm probably gonna go 40. That's the difference.
See, now I dislike that more.
I don't dislike either. I just, you know, for me, if I'm on the motorway, it's a long trip. It's gonna take a long time anyway, so I'm just gonna relax. But if I'm in the city, generally I want to get someplace fast. So that's the main difference. It's not really a safety issue for me. I know it is a safety issue, but that's not what I'm worried about when I'm thinking about it. I mean, you know, that's just life. C'est la vie. Anyway, but yeah, how long have you been driving now? Do you have your license yet?
No.
No? Oh, that's too bad.
But almost. About a year, almost coming up to.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, maybe like 8 months.
I don't know how long I've been driving, but I've had my license for probably 8 months. Yeah, probably around 8 months for me.
I mean, I've got my provisional license, but I haven't got my actual license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, 8 months? No, that doesn't make any sense. That's completely wrong. It's probably no. I'm probably coming up on 6 months having my license. Never mind. But yeah, driving's a lot of fun. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's always.
Got my theory test booked for the 1st of May.
It's always annoying. What?
I've got my theory test booked for the 1st of May.
Oh yeah, yeah. Here they make you take that. Well, it depends, but at least I had to take that test, the written test, the day I got my permit, and then I took the actual driving test for my license. So that was cool. But
we can just drive when we're 17, and then you have to take both of those tests to get a proper license.
Yeah. I mean, here you have to get the permit, and you either get the permit like the way I did by passing the written test, or by taking a federal course called driver's ed. And I'm not sure how that works entirely. But over here, the federal course, as far as I can tell, sucks because most of the drivers I know who drive driver's ed pass red lights, and they don't signal, and they've been in accidents. Like, I've had 5 friends who have taken the federal class and have been in accidents, and all the friends I know who hadn't taken it have never been in an accident. So at least here, our federal class, the teaching program, is horrible. It's pretty bad from what I've seen. But how's yours?
I think it's alright. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to pass, but I don't know. I wouldn't. I haven't been through it all yet, so maybe I shouldn't say anything about it. But I know 2 people very personally that have passed everything, and one of them is a good driver, and one of them not so much. So.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, it's random.
Yeah, anecdotal.
But yeah, driving. I think that's all I have on that topic.
Yeah, it's a good segue because I've been using this a lot lately into public transport.
Mm-hmm.
I hate buses. I hate buses. I hate buses. I hate buses.
Why?
I feel so sick in them. It's ridiculous. Like, it's the worst. It is the worst method to travel. Buses is definitely. Like, I haven't been in too many boats. But aside from boats,
I hate boats.
I love the train, and I don't care whether it costs 50 quid extra. I am using the train to get to London next time. Fuck the bus.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't take a bus on a long trip. I mean,
it's just so much cheaper.
On a trip from my state to London, oof.
It's only 3.5 hours.
It's on a bus though.
But I like flying. I like flying a lot, and I could actually fly from Cardiff to London.
I like parts of flying, but at the same time, I get really bad ear popping. Really bad.
Mine used to be pretty bad. It's now not so bad. It pops, but I'm like, whatever. Just blow my nose back out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. My mother's really bad at flying. Taking off, she, like, chokes. Have to get her water and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. The last time I flew, I was deaf for, like, partially deaf for, like, a good half hour to an hour. And it was when I arrived in Houston, and I was trying to talk to my sister because I hadn't talked to her in a while, and I could barely hear her anything she was saying. I felt really awkward in that conversation, and it was my fault because while basically I was watching a movie with my other sister while we were touching down, and I had earbuds in my ears.
I find that helps.
Oh God, no! It was a horrible idea because it helped keep more of the air pressure in, which meant I couldn't pop my ears, and I just had air pressure built into my ears the entire time, and I couldn't get it out. It took me a really long time to get it out. It just sort of, and I couldn't get them to pop. So basically, they just slowly drained out over the course of an hour. It was horrible. But yeah, I do not like ear popping and the whole pressure differential problems, but besides that, I think air travel's pretty fun. Yeah, it's decent.
I haven't flown long distances since I was a young child. For probably about the last 5 years, I've been on a lot of flights to Iberia, and then that's as far away as I've really gotten. Really, yeah, Iberia is probably the furthest away I ever went. I went there a good couple of times, but nowhere further. So it's only like a 2-hour flight, I think. Roughly.
To Iberia?
Yeah.
Sounds about right. 2-hour flight to Iberia. It's
but
not
yeah,
that far.
I used to travel a lot to the States, but I just didn't do that. I haven't done that for a while.
Yeah, that's a long flight. That's
pretty long flight.
It's like 6 hours.
I never went to the. I mean, once. I went to the West Coast once, but most of the time it was like East Coast or Florida, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a rough flight. Because that's a turbulent flight as well. across that ocean. It's not a nice flight.
Really turbulent.
I think it is quite turbulent. Yeah.
I never noticed
right.
turbulence in the big planes, but every time I take so I don't know if it's probably the same way there, but basically here, if you're going between two very large international airports, like from for example, Newark which is in New Jersey, to Detroit Airport, then you're going to be in a big plane. But if you're going from Detroit to South Bend Regional Airport, you're going to be in a tiny little plane that fits maybe like 40 to 60 people. It's really small. And, well, small.
Thing, we don't do this type of flights.
Oh, okay.
There's one passenger airport. There's one passenger airport in Wales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, but this flight, it's a half an hour from Detroit to South Bend. I only took it once, and that plane was shaking the entire way there because it's just so small. So even the smallest gust of wind.
How much did that cost?
Not much. I don't know. I didn't pay for it. It was a connecting flight. We were going. I probably didn't pay. We probably didn't pay for it individually anyway, because it was a connecting flight. We were going from Philadelphia to Detroit to South Bend. So that was the flight.
Because I'm hoping like small distance flying is going to become a commercially viable thing.
Oh, I definitely think it will. In fact, I think if you believe anything that a lot of engineers are saying, and a lot of scientists who like spend their time thinking about sociology and the future of commercialism, they theorize that within the next 20 years, flying cars will be like a thing. They'll be like a popular thing.
I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, Ryanair, right? I don't know if you've heard of them. Really cheap budget airline here in the UK. Got like this kind of jokey reputation for being this budget airline. Okay, they are starting next year some form of subsidizing. They're going to be able to offer 20 seats to 40. I think it's 20 to 40 seats on an airplane. Each airplane will be available for £1, and that's to travel from the UK to the US. £1.
What?
They're subsidizing it by having a really nice first class and charging a lot of money for first class seats.
That's crazy. £1? Can you take that? Is that both ways? Can you fly from here to there?
Oh, I think it's £2 both ways.
No, but can you? Will they?
Oh, will they come
here?
back? Here's the thing, because if they fly one way, they've got to fly back. So will they take passengers back? You've got to assume it's economically viable for them to do.
Right?
So.
They'd make more money.
Yeah.
If they make money the one way, they should make money the other way. And
yeah, because you're wasting petrol, so you might as well make the money on it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, oh man, that might be when are they doing this? Is this an actual thing?
Yeah, they said it would be Ryanair.
What year?
Maybe you can look it up. Next year, 2016. They said.
Dude, that is cheap flying.
They're like I fly.
That must be the shittiest coach in the world.
I flew with them once, and on return when we touched down in Bristol, the wing was smoking. So I don't know how much trust you want to put in
for
them.
£1. I don't care. We crashed down. It was £1.
Yeah.
I like for that price. Oh my god, that's insane. I almost have trouble believing that. I'm gonna have to look that up. And
you look at that. Like I didn't believe it either, and I still kind of don't either. Maybe I'm getting the prices
sounds to me like some sort of commercial stunt. I don't know.
I could definitely see them subsidizing it though.
I mean, who would want to ride first class in an airline that's known for being really shitty though?
Maybe they're trying. Maybe they're
changing their image. I mean,
I've heard that first class is freaking awesome.
Was it like black smoke?
No.
Okay,
it's
good.
White smoke.
Okay, well, hey, a little white smoke. That's heat smoke. As long as it's not a fire.
Yeah, I don't think. No, it wasn't a fire.
They just have a problem with their cooling system. That's all.
I know. Like that was my only like bad experience with it, but I do love. I love having the wing seats. On an airplane. Or one of the wing seats, where you can just look out your window and there's the wing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like it. At the same time, it makes me nervous because I am worried I'm going to look out and see a smoking wing.
Because you can see the wing and you can see the sun rising from it. There's some really nice images I've got on my phone from my last trip to Iberia. I should stop saying Iberia and when I'm talking about one specific holiday. My last trip to Barcelona.
I think it's weird to say Iberia in general. Why not just say Spain?
Because I also travel to Portugal a lot.
Ah.
Yeah. So, well, I have. I haven't this year. Oh, I should. Portugal's a cheap holiday, man. What it is? You can get it for like 100 quid.
So is Marseille.
No.
No?
Uh,
But Marseille's
Lisboa-
closer to you than Portugal is.
the hotels you got to think of.
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess the French Riviera isn't cheap.
Lisbon is a nice cheap holiday. Yeah, I'm thinking. I've been considering it for a couple of weeks now because the boys and I were thinking about going on holiday, but it all fell through. So I was looking at like £100 to Lisbon because Liverpool, the football team I support, had a possibility of playing a team out there. So
Yeah.
but that possibility is now gone. Cry.
Aw.
But I know. There's also a possibility of me going to Wembley in May, which is coming up actually. So, yeah, there's a lot of. I want to go on holiday before I go off to uni, but then I don't have that much money to do it with. So who knows?
Yeah, hey, for £1, everyone can afford a holiday. Well, I guess. I mean, a lot of the cost of a holiday are the.
Well, they would have to stop doing it if
Once
the
you get
first
there.
class seats didn't sell.
Yeah, Oh man, that's crazy though. Like, that's so cheap. You could just like fly places on a whim. Like just on
You can fly right now on Ryanair for $9.99 to Ireland, Spain, Italy. Those are the
No,
three
but from America? I'm really concerned about the from America. their charges there. So I'm gonna have to look it up and see actually if they fly out of an airport here. Because I've never heard of them, so that's a problem. If they do exist, but I think I've heard of them from you. That's it. But like I've never heard of them in common like in out in the world. So I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up and see what's going on there because that does sound really cool and it interests me a lot. But you hate buses. That's all we need to know.
But I love trains.
I like trains too. I say I love trains. I've never been on a passenger train. I've only been on like
Really?
I've been on a subway, like a little subway. But I've never been on a cool like. And to be honest, the passenger train thing isn't as popular here. Like I've always wanted to be on like a French bullet train or like a European train that goes all over the place and it's really nice and classy. I've always wanted to be on one of those. That's one of my bucket list things. I want to go on one of those cool trains.
If you come over here, you can be assured that the train will be a very used thing.
Yeah.
If not, you should try.
Well, specifically though, I want to go on one of those classy trains, like the train that's in Harry Potter. I want to be on that train.
If you're talking about like old school, you can't really.
Well, no, not the fact that.
But there's some classy.
I don't mean that it's powered by coal. That's not the part that I'm interested in. I just mean the fact that it has your personal cabin and it has a food cart. It has a dinner.
Here's the thing: like trains aren't designed for you to be on them all day. They're designed for you to be on them for like 4 hours maximum to travel.
Yeah, but they did have those trains. Like I think those exist more in like Central Europe than they do in Britain. But I know they exist because I've seen pictures of them. Like
from like 20, 30 years ago.
No, I mean modern ones. They have modern trains that have dinner cars and they have sleeping cars and things like that.
They must be long trips then.
Well, I think the longest trip in the world is in Europe. It's the Trans-Siberian Railroad. That's really long.
Yeah, but who takes that?
You want to experience life.
True. Like they know because the Euro train, I think it's called Eurorail. Eurorail is awesome because you can go from London to like Moscow.
Yeah.
It's awesome. But I just like the British one because like you're talking fancy trains. The train from Maesteg to Swansea is fancy, man. It's nice. It's really nice.
Does it have a drink cart?
There's no carts. They don't sell shit on the train.
It's not fancy,
you buy
man.
stuff before you get onto the train.
Not
There's a big shop at the start of the train station.
It's just like a piece of transportation. Then it's not an experience.
But you get to see a lot of the countryside.
I guess you could do that by walking.
You could not get through as much as you could get through on train.
If the train is crossing it, you could just walk the train track theoretically.
I mean, in terms of time.
Well, no. But what I'm saying is like, therefore, the point of the train is for speed, and I just want a train that's just like a relaxing train. Like it's almost like to be on the train is almost a holiday in itself. Have you ever seen not if it doesn't have like places to eat and shit and places to like.
You're on there
do
for
shit?
like an hour.
Frankly, that's not a holiday. I want a slow train. They purposely make it slow. It's going to like 10 miles an hour. No. But have you ever seen what's it called? It's a movie they made, Snowpiercer. I think that's what it's called. Shit. I don't remember. It's about this train, and it's after the apocalypse has happened. The whole world's frozen over, and this train's taking a trip around the world. And basically, each year...
It's a South Korean science fiction action film based on the French graphic novel La Transpierce.
So it is Snowpiercer. Okay, anyway. But yeah, it was a weird...
The film is directed by Bong Joon-ho and written by Bong and Kelly Masterson.
It makes sense that it did seem like it had some... it makes sense it's Korean.
The film marks Bong's English language debut. Approximately 80% of the film was shot in English.
It was strangely directed, that's all. Anywho.
Blame Bong Joon-ho.
No, I liked the way it was directed. It was something new. It was like an interesting thing. Well, compliment Bong Joon-ho anyway. But...
compliment Bong Joon-ho.
Anywho, I will. I'll call him. I'll find his number. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I have to say about public transportation. I mean, over here, it's just not as frequent if you're not in a big city. If you're not in a big city, it almost doesn't exist at all. Like if you're not in a city with more than, I'd say a good round number would be 500,000 people, then it's not even a factor here, at least in America. It might be more of a like in California. I can imagine it's more popular even in smaller cities, but through most of the country, if you're not in a city that's bigger than 500,000 people, you don't even have like anything really. You might have one bus line that's really shitty, and it goes through a small part of the town. Like that's our bus line, I think. We have a bus line, but it goes through like a small part of the town and is really crappy.
I should actually say that our buses, for as much as I hate them, they do. I'm glad they exist because they're very cheap to get places, and they do cover a lot of areas.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you're lucky. You live in a pretty small town. What's the population of your town?
I can get you a number.
Just round about it.
I really can't.
Oh, okay.
I know. It's just. I don't want to.
From what I've heard and seen,
20,000.
I was actually gonna guess 40,000, so it's even smaller than I thought. But yeah, so it's 20,000. You live in a town of 20,000 people, and you have a train, you have a bus line, you have.
We did have one of our train stations closed down 50 years ago, though.
But you still have a train.
We have two trains.
You have two trains. You have two trains.
No, we don't have two trains.
Oh,
it's all stations.
You have two stations.
3 stations.
You have 3 stations.
My Stegawenny Road and Garth.
Okay, so that's cool. You have 3 stations. I live in a town with like 200,000 people, and the only train you can take here is from here to Chicago, and it's horrible, But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're lucky. The public transportation there is just better. It's more affordable. It's more comfortable. Homeless people aren't everywhere on it. It's nice.
Wow.
Do you have a lot of homeless people in my state?
Yes.
Really?
Not that many. No, I guess not really.
We have quite a few here.
There's quite a few in the capital.
South Bend's got a pretty bad homeless problem. But yeah, the capital yeah.
Cardiff.
I was gonna say that, and then it escaped me. It's like one time someone asked me who the dictator of World War II Russia was, and I couldn't think of Stalin. I could only think of Joseph, his first name. I was it's Joey something. I don't know. He was a bad guy though.
One of our teachers was trying to educate the class today on.
When you say it like that, it sounds like indoctrination. Educate.
Oh wait, no, he's trying to teach the class the importance of voting and the political stuff, right? Because the election's coming up in a month, yeah. And
even though they can't vote.
Yes, they can.
Your class can vote?
Yeah.
Really? What is the voting age in your country?
18.
Your class is 18 years old?
Yeah, I'm one of the youngest in the year group.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, most people are 18.
Anyway, continue.
he was trying to just talk to him about it, and he tried to describe the political spectrum, the left and the right, and he kind of merged social and economic scale together. And so his examples were, on the left was communism, and on the right were the Nazis. I was like, no, the Nazis were on the left. They were National Socialists.
I do like how he really liked to play it though with the worst pop. Like, hey kids, I'm not taking sides. The left, commies. The right, Nazis. And that's all that exists.
No, he talked about the center left and the center right.
Hey, don't you tell your parents I picked a side. You're either a Nazi or a commie in my class.
It's true. It's just, I was looking at it, like, he started talking, and I was looking at him like, dude, come on. This isn't gonna be great, is it? But yeah.
Well, hopefully the students in the class already knew what parties they were a part of.
Oh no.
No?
Oh,
well,
God,
not necessarily
no.
what parties they're a part of, but like what their stances are on topics.
You know what most of their thought process was? My dad voted Labour and his grandfather voted Labour, so now I'm gonna vote Labour.
That's weird.
And we're back here live on Podcast City. Marshall Peterson locking in the headlock. During the break, we had a vicious attack here back from the back. Outran the Big Show and locked Marshall Peterson in the headlock. We got rid of him. But we're here live on the podcast. There were some technical difficulties before the break. Marshall, how would you describe these technical difficulties?
They were technical in nature, sir, and we had some problems. I had to wire the wires and connect the...
Sorry, that's enough from you. Now I need to remind you to buy the podcast network for only $8.99.
$8.99? Wouldn't it be funny if some jackass charged $9.99? If anyone does, you should not subscribe to them over us. After all, you will save $1 for much better content.
Yes, once a week for the Sunday podcast. Okay, that's yeah. So we had some problems.
Yeah, we did.
I had food. Marshall was unplugged. So what were we talking about before the break? Hereditary voters, I believe, right?
Hereditary voters.
People who vote because their parents and their grandparents voted for that party.
Shit. Yeah, I guess. I didn't know if that topic was going anywhere. Was that the thing we ended off with?
It was. I said the...
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I said the...
I voted for the Labour Party. No, yeah, I'd say it's pretty true here as well. A lot of children vote for their parents, but at the same time, I think it's half and half. I think half the children vote for who their parents voted for, and the other half rebel and vote for whoever's on. And at the end of the day, I think the reason it's half and half is they're not really doing it for their parent. I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they decided, and half of them decided their parent was right, and the other half decided their parent was wrong. You know, and I think that's generally how things go. I do think, yeah, you're right. There are people who just pick what their parents voted for, and they do that as a conscious decision. But I'd like to think that there are plenty of there are lots of young people who there are lots of people our age who make that decision, and I think if they make the decision to vote for what their parents voted for, then they might get criticized because it's like, oh, your parents voted for that, so that's just who you're voting for. But then again, it's not as 50-50 there because you got so many more parties, so I don't know. But
it's pretty 50-50. It's pretty 50-50.
Really? Between which two?
The Conservatives and the Labour Party.
50-50. So all the other parties don't even exist.
I said it's pretty 50-50.
Well, like, what is pretty 50-50? It's like
let me tell you.
40-40?
It might be 40-40. 1 second. I can tell you exactly how much of the... There you go. I think it's 86%. 1 second. It is... I'll work it exactly out. 302 plus 256 equals... So out of 600 and I believe... I couldn't say. 1 second. 600 and something. 650 something? Where's the election? Damn it. There it is. Out of 650 seats, the two parties hold 558 of them.
Okay.
So, that's pretty two-party.
Yeah, I'd say so. That's pretty. Yeah, you're right. It's pretty deadline. But so. So,
and there are only 3 parties in our system that hold more than 10 seats.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is 302 seats for the Conservatives, 256 for Labour, 56 for the Liberal Democrats, and then everyone else who owns a seat has less than 10.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So yeah, I mean that's really all I had to say about the politics. I haven't been in a very politicky mood lately. I don't know.
That's because you don't have a general election coming up. You know, when you've got one coming up, you're very politicky.
Not really.
You've got one next year. We might see.
We might see. I will probably just tell you how horrible all the candidates are and then cry.
I've fallen into that trap lately because nobody's offering a positive outlook. Nobody at all. Everyone's doing nasty things.
Wait, by that do you mean no one has good ideas, or do you mean just everyone's being negative?
I mean, the biggest issue I'd say going into this election is cuts to public services, right? And the Tories are saying we're gonna cut what I think it's like. I can't remember. I can't give an exact. Like they're gonna cut an exorbitant amount of public spending, and then Labour is saying we're gonna cut, about 80% of what they're gonna cut. So nobody's offering.
So no one's saying we're not gonna cut.
Nobody is saying we're not gonna cut. Absolutely nobody. There's just people saying we're not gonna cut as much. That's the best they can offer, unless you're the Green Party, who I don't think they've ever seen money, because they certainly don't know what it is, because they can't understand it for shit. I think we've ranted on this podcast before about how much I'm disappointed in the Green Party for being such a socially advanced party, but not knowing how to economically run a country for shit.
Yeah.
So.
You have.
Should I continue to? Okay. So.
No. It's okay. It's okay. No. But. I do not have a good timer. How many blueberries do we have on the chain?
It's a pretty easy timer this week. We've got a maximum of 65 blueberries.
Whoa, what?
I know.
So we have 5 blueberries.
No, we don't have 5 blueberries. A minimum of 34 blueberries.
What? That doesn't even make sense. Okay. I guess that makes sense. Okay, anyway, the whole blueberry scale is very confusing at times.
I've just, used some of them in my drink, so we're alright.
Oh, stop eating the blueberries.
Alright, so
let's
move on.
No, this is the system. So we have 2 jars, one filled with blueberries.
Oh, God. Okay. Okay. Marshall's having some issues today. Big problems with I would assume interference. I assume this isn't another mic issue. So I don't know where to go from here. We haven't talked about games, which is probably what we should do next. But I don't want to get into it heavily without Marshall here. We're gonna do a little bit of Fallout 4 talk to cap it off, and that's it really. So that's the schedule for the rest of the podcast. As long as he gets back soon, we'll probably be delving into Deus Ex a lot more. About as much as we did last week, but maybe a little bit more. So yeah, let's hope he comes back soon, possibly, hopefully.
Hey, I'm back.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, thank God, I was running out of stall. Okay.
See, you do that to me for 5 minutes when you go to the bathroom. You're like, just stall.
I don't know. I was really running out of stall there. I know this podcast has been very reliant on small talk.
I don't know. I think I really liked it. I really genuinely thought the earlier part of this podcast was one of the best talks we've ever had.
It was really, it flowed well, but it was small talk. There was no top.
That's what podcasts are. I mean, that's what podcasts are. You just talk about things. I mean,
yeah, but usually we extrapolate on a gaming topic and rant from there. But today we just how you doing? Public transport, vending machines,
yeah,
things like that. But I'm fine with it. I just thought it doesn't give a lot of room for stall like some other podcasts we've done, in my opinion, have.
Yeah, we've been working off of each other a lot. We've been playing off each other.
So the next two topics, I don't know if you were hearing me. Were you hearing me?
I could kind of hear you. There was a lot of technical difficulties.
I'd like to open the floor up. Hopefully we can run with this for a Deus Ex discussion.
Okay.
Because I
haven't played it in a really long time, but it'll probably just be you talking.
I need you to be here.
I won't be. I don't have a lot of things to say about it. I haven't played in a really long time, so honestly, I forgot a lot.
I guess we'll move on to the following.
I'm sorry. That's my fault. I'll have to replay it soon.
Well, I have all the information fresh. You can just talk about general things and ask me questions.
Then you should have said that. Let's talk.
Well, you said I won't be there for the conversation.
Because I don't have a lot of the information. But if you had said you have the information, I'll be there.
You never argue with information, Marshall. You argue in spite of the facts. Come on, admit it.
What facts?
Any of your argument? Okay, just go. What do you want to start with?
That was very rude, but this is your topic. What do you want to talk about Deus Ex?
I wanted to open the floor.
Oh, okay. I like
hopes, fears.
I like orange.
Okay, so what's your number 6 wish?
What? We're already going there?
Well, if you haven't got any Deus Ex, that was the next topic, yeah.
Well, I mean, what did you want to talk about in Deus Ex exactly? Because I mean, it's your topic, so I think you should open it.
Well, I wanted to know what your hopes and fears were, because now I have a fresh understanding.
My hopes and fears for Deus Ex, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you mean. I thought you were going all the way to the Fallout.
I was.
Okay, I'm confused.
You really don't. I was going there.
Okay.
The topic was hopes and fears, and now that I have all the information and a pretty good grasp on the Human Revolution storyline in its entirety.
Oh, I didn't know that was the topic. I couldn't really hear what was going on when you were talking there, so... I
didn't really explain it there.
Oh, okay. Well, when did you explain it?
I just said I would like to open up the floor for discussion on Deus Ex, and now that I have all the facts.
Okay.
You kept interrupting, going, well, I'm not going to be there.
No, you asked if I was going to be there, and I was like, well, I don't know. I don't have a lot of the facts.
No, I said I'd like to open up the floor for discussion on Deus Ex, because now I have all the... And then you went, well, I haven't really played it recently. I was like, well, I need you to be there. And you're like, well, I'm not going to be there.
Okay, so, what... But then I changed my mind. Okay, so what's your... I mean, one of my hopes is that the game will have... it will stay mostly the same, because, I mean, I think we've said this, but I really like the formula that they have in Deus Ex Human Revolution. It's a really fun game. Like you said, I think giving you more choice as far as the boss fights on how to take them out without killing them, how to fight them without killing them, and maybe even possibly a way to take them down without even fighting them. I mean, maybe if they had a quest you could do beforehand, an optional quest, like maybe the quest is like doing something for that boss and then telling him you did that for him, and then it'll back off. I don't know. I think there are definitely some innovations they could do there. What do you think?
I don't know about talking them down. It depends on what the bosses are like, if they even exist.
Like I said, there's no... I don't know about talking them down, but doing quests for them, maybe. I think that's a decent...
That's what I'm saying. I don't think, getting on their good side.
Oh, you don't like that? Okay.
Because I can't think of a boss in Human Revolution that I didn't want to beat. I didn't want to kill all of them, but I wanted to, get the upper hand and force their hand, rather than saying, look, I'm your friend. Stick with me and I'll be fine. No, I was like, alright, I've... ruined your operation here. All your men are knocked out. Just fuck off. that's or I'm gonna get past you because I don't need to kill you. I might need to get information from you, so I'll knock you out and take you.
So why do you like to talk down? For example, why do you like to talk down Legate Linnaeus in Fallout New Vegas?
Linnaeus. I don't really care. He's not a character that's been built up throughout the game. I don't really have an emotional connection.
That's not true. They do talk about him
as a legend, not as a character.
Oh, okay, yeah, true.
I don't see him as I don't see him as Linnaeus, the guy who saved all those kids that one.
Yeah, but if your thing is, I just knocked out your guys, so fuck off. That logic can be applied to Linnaeus.
That's because you get an emotional attachment to these bosses where you don't like them. You really don't like them.
Okay, so that's what you mean. You don't like them. Okay.
You want to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially Namir. Because Namir is a douchebag.
They are dicks.
Barrett's not that bad because you fight him so early.
The big guy, yeah. I don't mind him, but I'd say overall them as an organization are a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, I mean the tyrants are. Bitch Tits isn't even that bad because she's so quiet. I played the game 6 times. I still can't figure out who the hell Bitch Tits is. I haven't even seen her name referenced in the game. I can't. I know what her name is, but I don't know why I know what her name is. Mm-hmm. It's Yanova, something like that. Yorova. Maybe I don't know what her name is, but Namir and Zhao especially, like those are two guys that like have really fucked you over throughout the entire game, and at the end you're just like, if you don't want to kill them, which I didn't really, you want to get the upper hand on them. You want to show that you are the better person by the end of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's the boss fights topic. Also,
I mean that I hear what you're saying. I think maybe that should be a wish then. Maybe have the like. Here's the thing. I think this story is going to be a little more
violent.
I was going to say gray. As far as you might like the bosses, you might not hate the bosses. Okay, you might like see their side, and I think if it does play in that direction, I think you should be able to work it out with them.
If there are even bosses.
If there are even bosses, but if there are, you should be able to work it out with them. If there aren't, you should be able to work it out with someone. But there should be some guy you have to work it out with. Like,
yeah,
hey,
maybe.
Hey, let's talk this down. Okay, you can't, like, me, together. Come on.
That's the thing. Like, the only Deus Ex game that's had forced boss fights, really, is 3. And in them, you couldn't get on good terms with the tyrants. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
And you wouldn't want to, because they don't...
Let's say you did, because you were talking about giving players more choice, and I agree with that. Just storyline-wise, getting on side with the tyrants just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Sarif can't
they're being
offer
dicks.
them. Sarif can't offer them what Paige can offer them.
It's
you
true.
know, Sarif has no way to compete with Paige. Sarif doesn't even know Paige is funding them. You know, like, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The tyrants will just not work with you because they've got they know where their bread is buttered. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So there's just no way the tyrants would work with you. That's the only biggest thing. Zhao maybe. But even then, Zhao has got such a not only ideological but like personal problem with Sarif Industries that she could never work with you either, because she's not going to work with another biotech corporation. Like, her whole business model has been crushing other biotech corporations.
Yeah.
So Zhao, if you don't remember, is the
No,
CEO.
I remember who Zhao is. I remember them. They're very... Oh, unless you're telling the audience.
I was talking to you.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's one of the more memorable characters. She is one of the more memorable characters. I swear to God, I do remember her. I just said it was a he. Okay, anyway. But that's one of my favorite levels, sneaking into that facility. It's that to me seemed when you're sneaking into their laboratories, it seemed to me more, or at least their offices, it seemed more sneaky than a lot of the other levels did.
Can we bring it back a second? Do you mean the laboratories or do you mean the offices? Because you meet Zhao in both.
The offices, I meant.
Okay, right. You don't fight Zhao there.
No, I didn't mean. I just mean that level, their offices. Yeah. The sneaking. I liked
that level too.
Was my favorite out of all the sneaking in all of the levels. I really liked sneaking there. It just seemed really. It seemed difficult, but it also seemed like it flowed well.
I liked the sneaking there, but I preferred on board Rifleman Bank Station.
Yeah, I know.
I preferred that a little more because they would actually like talk about it. Like, you'd meet a friendly character and he's like, "You're quite the ghost, bratan. I haven't heard a peep from you," and that's a good thing. And then the Irish guy would start talking. I can't do an Irish accent, so I won't even try. But yeah, they'd all say like, "Yeah, you're off the radar. I haven't heard about you. Good." Whereas, you got it a lot in the main game, but it was just so often there that it just told you how awesome you were. That's why I liked it better there. There's an instant feedback loop, you know?
Yeah.
Also, sneaking in the hubs was always awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the hub cities, Detroit and
Yes. Yeah.
Hampshire.
Places you could walk around. I also like just walking around the cities. They were really well built. I like them.
I tell you what, I liked walking around cities a lot, and also one of the cool things about Human Revolution is that second visits to both, you felt so urgent that even someone who liked to explore was like, I just gotta get stuff done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They really paced that really well, even though you don't have to. You know, they paced it well.
They made you feel like everything is on the line.
Yeah. Especially after you would have, on your second visit to Hengsha, you would have witnessed one of the most emotional moments in video game history. But,
on the second visit to Detroit, especially, I felt like, oh, nope, gotta get shit done.
I think that, I agree with you because of the riots on the streets.
Yeah,
really
they make it feel like, okay, this is not the city that I was in a couple levels ago, or at the start of the game. This is a new city. This is a different place entirely, and it's not a place I need to hang out in. I need to get my shit done.
Plus, I really like the second visit to Detroit. There's a lot of story there that I just really like. A lot of revelation. Because Taggart's one of my favorite antagonists in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So the revelation there is quite good as well. What's fun is that if you fail, you don't get that revelation. You know? You have to just go find someone, I won't spoil too much. I probably will later. In a different way, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one of the cool things about the game as well. Anything else for hopes and wishes that you want to extrapolate on?
No, like you said, I really think this is going to turn out well. I don't have a reason to think it's not going to. I mean, I feel like you're more confident than I am that's going to be perfect, but I always leave a chance for something to go wrong. But I think for the most part, this is probably going to be a really good game. And I think
what little hints of things that are going on elsewhere in the world would you like to be more explored in this game?
That's a good question. I wouldn't mind. Like, I know this is not going to happen, but it'd be cool if you could go to like a really, really. It'd be cool if you could go to Baghdad or Saudi Arabia or somewhere in the Middle East. That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind going to Dubai. Wouldn't mind going.
But keep in mind that India as an economic power has all but failed.
That's why it's interesting.
Right. Okay.
I want to see the gritty because I think a lot of the cities are just really metropolises.
What?
And what?
Both of the cities are absolute grime pits.
Detroit and
Hengsha
and Hengsha are huge. They're enormous. And Detroit, I think, looked decent, and Upper Hengsha was a paradise.
Yeah, but you didn't explore Upper Hengsha. You explored Lower Hengsha.
That's true.
The dirty, dirty hookers and the dirty.
Putty doesn't like hookers.
The dirty mafia gang that
Putty doesn't like the mafia.
Abducted people off the streets, took their augments out of them, and sold them on the black market. And then in Detroit, there was the two gangs, which the only difference between the two of them is that one gang hated people with augments, and another gang had augments and just hated everybody. And also, you had homeless people everywhere, and nobody was ever in their houses. You ever hack into anybody's house in Detroit? Nobody's in their house.
They're getting work done.
There's a guy in a broken down gas station selling guns. There's fires everywhere.
I love the gun place. I love the gun place.
I do too, but it's clearly a shithole.
Well, you obviously haven't been to Dubai. It's 10 times worse than that, I'm sure, especially in this game. But no,
Sad thing is, you might be right.
I also just think it's a different culture to experience. Is all. I think it's a much different culture to experience. Places like Rio de Janeiro, also maybe nice cities like London or Paris.
I think, and I know I just said these are all grime pits, but I think the two that we saw in Human Revolution are actually, very sadly, some of the most developed in the world by now. That's a bad thing.
Yeah. So you think major cities in Europe are worse off than Detroit?
I'm not sure.
Augmentation has really ruined the world. If that's true. Oh god.
Prague has a really thriving ammunition and weapons industry.
Yeah.
Like the tranquilizer rifle, I think the shotgun and the revolver, I think all are manufactured by a Prague company. There's a couple references to that. Australia's gone to shit. Run
Out of water.
Civil war.
Oh. Over water, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I think South America's gone to shit.
Oh, I think it'd be interesting if they showed the west coast of America because I mean,
all the way down.
No, not every city, just some part of it. Well, okay, actually no, specifically specifically like L.A.
That's not in the south. It's like the central part of the west coast of the Americas.
I said the United States.
No, you said America.
Oh, well, America. Anyway, but yeah, I'd like to see L.A., Las Vegas, cities like that, because in the future, these cities are all going to be dried up, just gone to fuck. And so if the city recognizes the fact that they're running out of water very quickly in real life, then I think those could be interesting places to go to. Like, they just be deserts where everyone's begging for water, and no one gives a shit about augments. They're just like, I need water. No, but I mean, there'd be some augment stuff. I don't know. What cities do you want to see?
I want to see Sydney. Definitely. Prague, I think, is a big rumored one that I'd like to see. Hengsha again, Upper Hengsha, definitely. Hengsha needs to be in it, I think.
What'd you say?
Hengsha.
Okay.
What do you think I said? Hello?
I have no idea. I thought you just said. I didn't know because you just said Hang Shaw and then you said Hengsha. So you said it really quickly, and yeah, exactly. I just didn't think you would say the same thing twice. Anyway, but
I said Hengsha and I stopped and said Hengsha needs to be in it.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's like the most. It is the capital of augmentation. What the game's about augmentation, and it's where.
What is your stance on augmentation in the game? Like in the political universe of the game?
I think...
Because I have a very... Like, my opinion fights with itself. Like, I have an opinion on both sides. Like, I think that augmentations in the game are really good for people who have had injuries and things like that. Like, that's a great thing. Improving the quality of life. However, the whole super soldier thing... And obviously, augmentations are being used by the wealthy to corrupt society in a more efficient way than ever. So I think overall, it improves the quality of life for sick people, but I think it's ruined the world.
People always say this about neuropazine and the conspiracy. I don't think it was created by the controlling classes.
No, I don't think it was. Inventions are always made by people who think it's going to be used for something good.
No, I mean, like, the neuropazine dependence conspiracy wasn't like the Illuminati got together and said, we'll make all augmented people dependent on neuropazine. I think it was just a limit with the technology at the time.
Yeah. But also, it's obviously put so much focus in the market on these augmentations, and the augmentations themselves are controlled by these super governments, by these
they're not.
Incredible world powers.
They're controlled by private corporations more.
But those private corporations pretty much are the government at this point.
They
like the whole premise of the game is you've reached a point where private corporations are more powerful than governments.
See, now that's where you are wrong when it comes to the US. You are right when it comes to Asia, you're not right when it comes to the US. There is still a huge battle going on between two pretty equal, or if not, the corporations are actually less powerful than governing bodies.
Well, I was specifically referencing in China. I was talking about China, not the US. But I think for me, I think augmentations got out of control. But what do you think about them and the political scope of the game?
The problem with making a judgment is that you've seen the ending already.
Yeah.
we've seen what happens in the end, and it's not good. But the problem is, we know some of the steps that got us there, and it wasn't augmentation that caused the problems. It was rejection of augmentation. Yeah?
So you're for it, basically.
Basically, but...
I mean, I'm not asking you to view the game as a whole. I'm asking you, pretend you're a person at the start of Revolution. At the start of Deus Ex 3.
At the start of Deus Ex 3, and I knew Megan Reed's research, or I didn't know Megan Reed's research.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, if I didn't know Megan Reed's research, I would be very skeptical of the Neuropozyne conspiracy, and I would be completely against it. But if I knew what Reed was doing, I would be completely for it.
Okay. Cool.
Which is why they have to shut Megan Reed down.
I think in many ways, though, augmentations, you could say it's a medical thing. In many ways, they're just being used, like lots of technologies are, to further the humanity's destructive powers against one another. And I'm never for that. But
I see what you mean. I do. I see exactly.
It's creating
what you mean.
super soldiers, like people who cannot be.
Now you're buying into Taggart's propaganda.
Okay.
Not super.
I played the game. I was fighting them. They're tough as shit. You, as a character, are tough as shit. You are a super soldier, basically.
Yeah, because you are the perfect person for augmentation. You were an experiment. Yeah, I agree with you that it increases the destructive power, but I think you should look past that. It's making us more than human. I do think it's the next step in evolution. I do think it's a good thing. I think through that we could reach immortality.
Oh,
I
definitely don't want that.
And I really want that.
I think for us to reach immortality, we first have to deal with the prospect of feeding people. We haven't figured that out yet, so we can't be immortal. If you can't figure out how to feed people, you shouldn't live forever. You just shouldn't. It's unfair. Because in a system like that, only the richest people would be immortal. So until everything is figured out before that, you can't have immortality.
Well, you say that, but it's not like only the richest people have augmentations. Most of the richest people don't.
I'm just talking about in the real world. Like,
well, I thought we were talking about.
Yeah, I know. I that was my fault. I crossed over. I started thinking about the real world. I tend to do that. But yeah,
And I mean, I disagree with you in the real world too. But we're talking.
So you think in the real world we should just embrace it, even if we haven't figured out other major problems like like energy crises, environmental crises, war. Starvation. You think we should
I don't think the world electorate is going to be in a situation, and the way democracy is set up, that we will ever be able to work together on an international scale to the point where we will be able to solve those crises entirely.
Well, then I say we just kill ourselves now, because the world makes no sense then. I like to think...
I'm happy being selfish.
I like to think about the world as the whole goal of humanity is to work together, and if we can't, we will die alone.
Well, we can't.
Well, then
we just can't.
Then we're gonna die out in the next 100 years, guaranteed.
Well, we couldn't 100 years ago. We started a whole war. Remember?
What?
Well, I said we couldn't work together 100 years ago. We started a big war. Don't you remember?
No, Europe couldn't work together.
There was also Asia.
Yeah, no,
there was also
I know.
North America.
No, but Yeah, but if you're saying your goal is to become more than human, how can someone be more than human if they still can't work together? That's not being more than human. That's just being a petty robot. That's just
It's my selfish and vain fear of death.
Oh, we should just said that. I mean, if you want to be selfish, that's fine.
I've come to the conclusion that in the current social climate, we will never have governments in North America or Europe that are willing to bring the world together to a point where we can actually solve these problems. I mean, look how many governments in Europe are just clamoring to get out of the European Union. Like, come on. Like that is genuinely the first step to achieving that, to working together for one goal.
Yeah, I mean,
Nightmare.
I think another thing is, I don't know. I know you're right. It is difficult, but I don't like. For me, that doesn't matter. The goal should still be the same, even if the roadblocks are larger. Like for me, if you ask me, Marshall, would you rather live forever right now, or if you say no, you're gonna die in the next 10 seconds? I'd rather die. I hate the prospect of living forever. It sounds.
I feel like if I could
terrible.
live forever, then I would eventually solve that problem.
Which problem?
The problem of working together as a world. I don't think you can do it in the next 100 years, but you give me like 1,000, and I might eventually do it.
Give you 1,000. You just
would-
said you're selfish and vain. You're not gonna come up with it.
If you give me what I want,
People,
then I'll.
the only people who can really change the world are people who are not selfish and vain. They're willing to give up their entire being. And I'm not saying I'm one of these people, but I'd like to find one of these people.
I think you've got to know where to fight your battles, though. If you're gonna achieve your goals, because like you said, I've said, you've only got 100 years.
If that. Average lifespan 70. Or
Yeah.
well, it depends where you live. It depends where you live. But
67.
67 there.
think
Shit.
so, yeah. They tend to
You
put
guys
the
are
pension age
dying.
around there. They tend to put the pension age around there, so I think it'd be 67.
I wouldn't think. So you think they put the pension age specifically where people start dying? That's funny.
Yes, it's morbid, but that's how they do it. Yeah.
Oh man, that's rough. That is rough.
You're paying people without them giving into the economy. You know, if too many of them live for too long, the pension age has got to go up.
Exactly. Okay, right there, you just described a problem with living forever. Like another huge problem.
Like if I was
living
immortal,
forever.
but I kept aging at the same rate, and eventually I was just this little shriveling ball of.
I'm not saying that. I'm not
flesh.
saying that. I'm not saying that. Let's say you live forever and you stay at your current. Let's say
Then I'd
you're like
be able to work forever.
Let's say you're like a 25-year-old forever. That's fine. The problem is the enormous population crisis. The population would start growing would just be exponential to all shit. We'd have to solve.
That's why it's only for me.
Good God! So when you say selfish and vain, you just mean the most selfish
But-
and vain.
If you do it for me, I will solve.
So you just want to become a god, basically.
I will bring the world together. In 500 years, I will bring the entire world under one religion. in the 500
Wait, they shouldn't
following,
believe in a religion.
I will. Well, they're gonna believe in a religion, so it's.
Damn
gonna
it,
be
Putty, you
Puddyism.
are a god.
So it's
That's
gonna
your
be
dream.
So it's gonna be Puddyism. The 500 years following will be bringing the entire world under one government.
You're gonna take 1,000 years for this, dude. I can find someone
Dude,
better.
come on.
I can find a better person than
Look,
you.
They may make you better promises, but I will deliver.
Look,
Your family can be the keeper of the crypts, the
Do you-
keeper of the puddies.
do you?
You must awaken me every 100 years to bring destruction upon the world.
What the hell? Wait, so now you're an apocalypse god? You're like a South American god that comes out of the volcano and eats cities.
You must sacrifice to me.
Okay.
I want all of your presidents.
I think one important, like, here's an interesting. So are you actually afraid of death in real?
I'm actually deadly afraid of death.
Really?
Yeah.
I run into
It's the worst
a
thing
lot
about
of people
living.
like this. Really?
Yeah.
The worst thing about living is dying.
The worst thing about living is
That's a
having
bit
to
of
think
a
about
that's
death.
a okay. I was gonna say that's a bit of an oxymoron. The worst thing about living is dying. It's like, well, that's not living. But yeah, I've never really been that worried about it. I think.
I always feel like I'm running out of time and I'm only 17 years old.
Oh well, then you're afraid of time, not death.
No, I'm not afraid of like the actual process of dying. I'm afraid that I haven't got enough time
To do what?
to do everything.
To do everything.
Everything.
Oh, I
To do what
never
you're saying.
thought I was gonna do
Like,
everything.
See, that's the thing. To solve these problems, like part of me does want to do this and to change the viewpoint of the world and to change the way the world works. But that's behind my fear of like I can't do any of that with just 100 years because I've studied
Lots
these
of
people.
people have.
No, I've studied these people. I've seen what they've done, and it's not enough. It's not enough. I've studied so many important people, at least in my country, that have like had great careers. And
Most of the important people I know who have tried to do things have been shot. So it doesn't matter if they live forever; they're gonna get shot.
Well, see, with augmentation technology, even getting shots.
Yeah,
doesn't
but with
really matter.
augmentation technology, the ability to shoot someone gets better. So it's just an arms race.
But
of,
it's only
oh,
for me.
You're invincible, but I'm better at killing you.
No, it's only for me. I'm the only one who gets this.
That
remember?
doesn't exist. That doesn't make any sense.
Puddy and Co. Biotech Corporation.
So,
You don't-
oh god. Okay. Yeah. But it can't be a corporation if you're only selling it to yourself. Where'd the profits come from?
we sell prosthetic limbs for medical purposes.
Yeah, but as soon as you sell those limbs, other companies will take the technology and develop it for other people.
Not if we get the patents properly. And I will tell people
Patents.
that if you and if you give it to those other companies, they won't give it to the NHS for free, like we will.
Okay.
And none of this makes sense, by the way. That was not like that. Most of this is tongue in cheek for anybody listening.
Well, I was serious about the I was seriously asking you about the death thing.
And I seriously answered.
Okay, good. Like that part was serious. I always find it interesting to.
The part about me being the only one with technology and living as a god isn't. The part about me getting the world in shape in 1,000 years. I mean, I'd have to think about it a bit more, but it's kind of what I actually.
I don't think any one man can do anything like that, and I think that's the.
Well, that's because they don't have enough time.
No. Anyway, I think you're right. I think in a way I'm not afraid of running out of time. It's just like, oh, that's a bummer. Like, I'm depressed about it maybe, but I'm not afraid of it because I'm afraid of things that I don't have to deal with and that I am scared of having to deal with, like a polar bear. Like, if you put me in a ring with a polar bear, I'd be shitting my pants. But I'm around I've always been around the loss of time. I've been dealing with the loss of time for my entire life, so I'm not afraid of it. I've been dealing with the fact that I might die my entire life, so I'm not afraid of that either. I'm generally only afraid of things that I might have to deal with that I haven't, like polar bears or venomous spiders or like a meteorite. I don't know. Shit like that. I'm afraid of
all of those things involve you dying.
No, they involve you dying horribly in a painful way. I'm not afraid of the death. I'm afraid of being ripped apart by a polar bear. But you're right. There is a primal, like, here's the difference. Are we talking about a primal fear or an active sort of more higher up, like, I'm afraid of that fear?
I mean, I think for me,
because a primal fear is something like, primal fear for me is, okay, you got the adrenaline running. Your instincts take over. That's the kind of fear. Your flight or fight response. That's the primal fear. And the sort of thoughtful fear is like, I'm scared of my mortgage running out or something like that, you know?
I mean,
like,
I think death can come in both of those forms where, well, you have
I think everyone is uncontrollably afraid of a primal fear of death.
Yes,
I
agree.
But with the thoughtful fear, I'm not, like, I've thought about
That's
death.
different.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not afraid of that kind of fear.
It's been a long time since I was a little kid. I can't remember when, but it really haunts me whenever I get to that place where I start thinking about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. You said it's been a while since I was a little kid, and what happened? Were you
nothing?
Did a snake start wrapping around you?
I don't know. I guess it was from the moment I could comprehend what death is. From then, I would start thinking about it, like, what happens when I die? And I'm like, I just don't want to think about it. Just push it out of your mind. But it keeps coming back, and then it makes you feel empty in your stomach. And then eventually, when I was a bit more intelligent and I could think about it more, I realized why. And it was the time thing. And then slowly, like, that's just made me depressed because I'm like, oh, I only have, like, well, look at my body. I probably only have, like, 40 years. So what's the point of doing anything now?
I reassure myself with the thought that...
I reassure myself with the thought that hopefully we'll find immortality. That's my only reassurance.
I reassure myself with the thought that when I die, I won't have the ability to comprehend that I'm dead. And therefore,
that scares the shit out of me.
And therefore, I shouldn't have to worry about anything. It'll be like going to sleep, and I love sleep.
I hate the idea of not being able to comprehend anything afterwards.
That'd be like a prison. That'd be like a prison. Being able to comprehend the fact that you're dead, you'd just be sitting in some sort of dark room forever.
The end, like that there is an end. Just it's so hard to put into words, but it's just.
But there's an end to everything. That's an easy concept. I think something lasting forever is a
Disney
difficult concept
is still
for
alive.
Me. Like, even the universe has to end for me to make sense of it. Like, everything has to end for me to comprehend it. Something that lasts forever just doesn't exist in my world. It doesn't make sense. Everything needs to have a start and an end for me to wrap my head around it. As long as those two things exist, I can wrap my head around it. That's why I like physics so much, because physicists are always looking for the start and the end point of something. They're always looking to find out what happened and predict what's going to happen, and that's why I love physics and theoretical physics, because they don't ever say, well, that's just it. It never started, or it's never going to end. They always come up with, okay, we're going to figure this out. We don't know yet, but there's got to be an end point. And I'm like, oh, thank God. But, like, that's me. So you're more of you think more of things in an infinite space?
No, I can't, in my right mind, comprehend the end like, the universe is even worse. Like, to comprehend that would just
Can you comprehend the end of our world, at least?
The end of our world in certain ways I can, because I've seen it
when the sun expands
so
and burns our planet, which is going to happen.
I mean, like, again, I am hopeful, but by that point,
no, there's nothing at that point.
We will be on another planet.
Oh, that's what you mean. But still, our planet's gone. So that's
I can comprehend the end of this rock. Yes.
Okay.
Not the end of our species. I think that might be the thing. The end of our species.
I don't like when people call it a rock. Calling it a rock is so insulting. It's got so much shit on it. Anyway, if Earth could talk, it'd be like, what? Did you just call me a rock?
You know what? I've just come to it.
Rocks are not purely spherical.
If the universe ended, but our species survived, I could comprehend that. Our species.
Whoa! What? No, that's the most weird thing I've ever heard. That is when comprehension breaks down. That's like next level drug trip stuff. What? The universe ends, but we're still here?
No, right now
are you
I
saying
couldn't.
We've transcended bodies and we're now just ghosts floating in the nothingness?
No, I couldn't explain to you that right now. But if someone were to explain to me a concept where humanity survived,
you're more
but the universe didn't.
Okay. So basically, I would say in that case, what you are is not a humanist, but you're obsessed with the idea of consciousness, of being able to conceive or feel or know, or at least know that you are alive. Because if you're more comfortable with the end of the universe than you are with the end of humanity, that makes you a person who's obsessed with the ability to conceive things.
Yep. I think you've hit the nail.
There you
on
go.
The proverbial
Boom.
head.
We worked through that. See, I'm not sure what I'm obsessed with.
No, you haven't worked through it because it still scares the ever-loving shit out of me.
I didn't say. We found the root of the problem. Now we're going to pull it out. No.
I don't think you can, man.
What? Yeah, we just did.
No, I don't think you can pull it out of me.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't think we can. This isn't about psychology. I was just interested.
I don't think a psychologist could. Do you think a psychologist could?
Maybe. I think everyone's different. I genuinely think that a psychologist can help everyone on some level. I don't think anyone's going to be fixed entirely by a psychologist. Maybe. But I think everyone can be helped in some way
is a problem
to work through their problems and what problems they have with certain ideas by a psychologist. Sure, yeah. I think anyone can be helped by a psychologist. I don't think psychologists are just for people who are having mental problems or things like that. I think everyone is in some way a little insane, and they can all use some help, you know. But that's just me. I know you might not trust psychologists. At least you said that the other day or something like that.
I won't go into it, but
okay. Have you had a bad experience with one, or?
No, I just don't like most of the field. Just most of the field.
So you don't like the idea of it?
Yeah, basically.
That makes sense.
I think perhaps with time, I would. It's not like a block out. Like, all right, this is never going to be good. It's just the current state of it. Like, it's not like it's bad or corrupt or anything either. I just don't think it's where it needs to be to start being considered.
See, I like psychology because I think most people in psychology are genuinely there because they like. I'm not going to say they like to help people. I think a lot of psychologists are crazy and they like to figure things out about people, and that's why I think it's a cool field.
I think it should be a scholarly art rather than something that's seriously considered in medicine, which it is, or seriously considered in science, which it sometimes is.
I don't know about science. I think it should be scholarly and medical. I definitely think it helps people on a medical level.
Not yet.
Definitely yes.
I don't think prescribing drugs to somebody based on psychology is ever.
Oh, I wasn't talking about that. I hate psychiatrists. Psychiatrists are the worst people in the world. You're talking about psychiatrists. People who like, write a prescription based on a problem you have. No, I fucking hate those people. I'm
talking about psychology, the topic.
Okay, but you just said you don't like the idea of prescribing drugs to people based on a mental affliction.
Any type of medical diagnosis based on a conscious, based on psychology. Yeah, psychological.
So symptoms. You don't think people are? You don't think anyone's psychotic. You don't think anyone's retarded. You don't think anyone has these sorts of issues. You don't think anyone's schizophrenic. You don't think anyone is depressed.
I don't think those labels are adequate.
But you do believe in labels, therefore you believe in like I think
or any labels that I've ever heard come out of psychology are ever adequate or well proven enough to the point where I will agree. And I hate that everything's a spectrum, and nobody seems to treat them like a spectrum. But everything's a spectrum, and if everything's a spectrum, you shouldn't be using those labels.
I generally only use the labels for, like, not that I'm a psychologist, but, like, if I refer to someone, if I say, like, oh, that guy's schizophrenic, they're fucking schizophrenic. They're off their balls. Like, and like, certain things, autism is definitely a spectrum. Psychosis is definitely a spectrum. I think schizophrenia...
And everyone's on the autistic
Schizophrenia is not a spectrum, I wouldn't say. Schizophrenia is, like... It's really bad. It's like next level shit. But you're right. Everyone's a little bit on the autistic spectrum. I mean, if it's a big enough spectrum, yeah, everyone's on it. Everyone. I definitely am. If it's a big spectrum, I'm definitely there. So you, I guess I kind of feel. I guess I kind of get what you're saying here. I believe in those clinical ratings though. Like. And I don't think it's a problem. I mean, do you not like the idea of putting labels on people?
I don't mind it as long as it doesn't like get in the way of objective fields that I think should be free from it, like medicine and science. Mm-hmm. I think it should be specifically scholarly. Never, not yet. Like not never, because I don't know what technology holds. But right now, in its current state, keep it away from medicine and keep it away from science.
Okay, well, I definitely disagree with that.
Sure.
I think it can help people, and it's been proven to help people. So I just don't... I think your complete disregard of it being any at all objective is kind of a little bit biased. I think you saying there's no point to this, it's completely not backed up by anything, that's weird.
That's not what I'm saying. I just think the... Like, I'd rather not talk about this, but I just don't
we'll
think...
stop. We'll stop. We don't have to if you're uncomfortable with it. Even though when I'm uncomfortable with something,
it's just... talking to someone so close to it.
I'm not that close to it. He doesn't even practice anymore. I like to think that lots of things help people. It's not necessarily that I'm like if people, for example, lots of people are like, well, pot's great, but it doesn't help you medically. I like to believe that it's great for people in a medicinal way. I like to believe that
prayer is good for people in a medicinal way.
That's the one thing you just... I don't think that is. So you think prayer is good for people in a medicinal way?
I think...
Or did you just say that in an ironic sense?
I think people being happy and upbeat about the future...
Well, definitely, optimism's great.
Health.
But, so if prayer makes you feel better, then great, yeah. So things that make you feel good are great for you in a medicinal way.
But I also don't think prayer should come anywhere near medicine as a field. You shouldn't be using it in hospitals as a treatment.
Even though most hospitals are named after a saint, I just think that's hilarious.
Which is a problem with the world because most buildings are too, and most freaking governments.
I don't know about most buildings, but hospitals definitely are always religiously referenced.
And
the
Princess
symbol
of Wales Hospital.
That's a religious figure?
No, that's a person that died in 1993.
There you go. But anyway. But so you're saying not all are? No, here at least I've never seen one except okay. It's either going to be named after a person or a religious figure. It's never like Twin Oaks Hospital. It's always like Mary Brandwine Hospital or Jesus Hospital. Not Jesus. None of them are called Jesus. Don't go to that
Well,
place.
I've seen Jesus College, or Jesus Hospital.
Even but that's a college where they teach you about Jesus.
It's not.
Oh,
it's really
not. Oh, okay.
No, they teach law there. They teach medicine.
Well,
there.
that's weird. Okay, so but even
There's two of them that I know
even the
of.
symbol we use for doctors and the practice of medicine, the two snakes twisting around a staff, is a religious symbol. So, I think, like, yeah, you're right. Religion is definitely imbued in a lot of science, which is weird.
You know, if the Illuminati does exist, I bet they're very heavily religious.
I like a lot of people who you wouldn't think are religious. Like, I think when religion is mixed with science, I'm usually against it. For example, if a biologist is religious, I think, okay, you shouldn't be a fucking biologist. If someone who deals with, if you're a geologist and you're religious, you should not be, like, so the reason is, if you're a biologist and you're religious, how can a religious biologist comprehend evolution? How can a religious geologist comprehend that the world is longer than 6,000 years? I don't like religion being brought into those type of topics, but when you deal with, theoretical physics, that's probably the only scientific study where I'm okay with people saying that there is some sort of construct, because those guys are just spitballing shit anyway. Those guys are just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. So if you want to say, and I love that's my favorite scientific topic. It's the least objective, but it's so fun. And so I'm okay with God being thrown in there, because those guys will throw anything at a wall and see if it works in their principles. But if it's something like biology or geology or even chemistry, yeah, I don't like religion to be even close to those things. But yeah.
Yeah, you know, like, I talk about it a lot about, like, murdering all religious people, right? That's
You're
what
very,
I'm past.
very.
And I've written so many. I've written so many essays on it, because I've done 2 topics that have required me to analyze religion over the last couple of years, and I always recognize the benefits of religion, and most of my essays are more like religion has done good things for the world in terms of, like, where we are now.
I do that too, but mainly because my teacher yells at me if I rant. So I'm like, okay, so I can't rant, so I'm just gonna, like, play devil's advocate and be a nice guy.
Well, I genuinely believe that religion does a lot of good things. A lot of good things for individuals and even groups. Bringing people together as communities is not usually a bad thing. But I do believe that we should be moving towards secular government much faster than we are, and secular education very quickly.
I think a way to sum up maybe what you just said is religion can be useful locally, but can hamper globally.
I mean, just look.
Because if you look at, like, a community, religion can bring it together, like you said. Religion can give people purpose. Religion can give people, on a personal level, some sort of meaning. But if you look at globally, religion can corrupt countries. Religion can hold back science. Religion can be responsible for genocide. So I think.
Do you know one of the reasons why I fundamentally think it's going to be very difficult to create a world, working together, is because of inherent and patriotic Christianity in Europe and the US, and inherent and patriotic Islamism in other parts of the world. I think they clash head on, and I think there is at the moment so many people in the hierarchy that just cannot work with the other side. That just never will. And like, I'm not talking about, like, the president of the US will never work with the president of this country. I'm saying the current group of people that are in line to take that position will never work with the current group of people that will.
Also, like, I think if we had, like, let's say we had an atheist in charge of, I don't know, Nepal. I love using Nepal in all of my things, but yeah. Let's say I'm an atheist. I'm in charge of Nepal, and I have a meeting with the head with the president of the United States and with the Prince of Saudi Arabia or whatever. I don't know what their ruler's called. But, like, if I meet with those two people at once, I, as an atheist, wouldn't be able to meet with them because they're both fucking insane. And they're both incredibly religious, most likely. Most presidents are...
wow, Nepal's in a really nice area.
Yeah, it's between
India and China.
The Andes Mountains, the largest mountain range in the... not largest necessarily, but the highest mountain range in the world.
It's a nice looking area.
It
Anyway,
is?
Yeah, you couldn't meet with the two people because they're insane.
That's just why I always use Nepal, because it's one of the chillest countries out there. Nepal rules. Anyway,
It looks like it.
it is. It's cool. They have a lot of monks. It's because it's so high up. If there ever was like flooding or some sort of apocalypse, they'd be fine. They're like, fuck it, we're in Nepal.
Russia is huge.
Russia is big. We're
Russia.
just making really random geographic references now. But yeah,
Is Google Maps accurate?
yeah. Why wouldn't it be?
Because
It is on the general scale of countries.
right. Because
It might get a road wrong.
That much bigger than China.
Russia is enormous.
Enormous.
You should look at a picture of the USSR. It's even bigger. It's not that much bigger, but it's bigger.
So, as an atheist, you couldn't meet with the president of the United States and the Prince of
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
So in a
because
way,
they're both
like
insane.
even it's not necessarily just because those people are religious, but because some people aren't religious. Fundamentally, religion gets in the way of things, I would say.
I say on the grand scale, I would completely agree with you, and I think the biggest thing we need to change, because it hit me the most this morning, because I've had to deal with it for years, but this morning it just got to me, like, we need to remove this from education, because it's inherently not giving people choice.
See, when you say that, like, I agree. Some states here really involved in education. My education system in Indiana doesn't really reference religion, doesn't really use it. So what do you mean it has to? What, like, from your education system does it have to remove from? Like, what
From
parts?
a very early age, they have mass prayers that they don't really
In the public school system in Britain?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's a compulsory thing.
Oh my God, that's like.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you'll see that here in private schools, but public? That's insane.
That's the thing. The definition of public and private schools get really skewed in my mind, because sometimes it's like, oh, the rich people go to private schools, but then I read something that's like the rich people go to public schools. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna leave.
No,
this
that's
alone.
not no. I mean, the definition is public is publicly funded by the government. Private is funded by the students who go there. They pay for it.
Oh well, ours is funded by a corporation.
It could be that too, but the corporation's trying to make money, and the only way they're going to make money is by by them charging money for people to go there.
They don't, though. It's free to go there.
So it's just some sort of publicity statement on the side of the.
They just built a school. Now it's run by the government, but they built it.
Oh, if it's run by the government, it's public.
Right.
But when it was run by that corporation, it was private.
But any private school here, it doesn't matter. They'd still have to do the GCSEs, otherwise they wouldn't have any education for shit.
No, there are standards, but the rules, as far as like prayer, you don't like in our public school system. Religion is incredibly. You don't touch it. You don't even talk about it. In fact, teachers get in trouble for even mentioning what religion they're a part of here. Is very in the public school system.
Probably pretty good.
It is so people stay away from it. In the private system, it is incredibly celebrated. Love God, that sort of thing. But it's private, so I don't give a shit. The problem is here, there's a push towards private schooling here. And that's the problem I don't like. Here, there's a huge push towards private schooling, mainly because there's a push away from funding public schooling. So it's like a never-ending circle of pushing kids towards private schooling when they should be more focused about schooling for everyone in the public. And it has a lot to do with classism and racism, but anyway.
So here's what I think religion should be like in schools. Do you want to hear? Is this an interesting topic today?
Yeah. I mean, hey, we're just spitballing.
Okay. I think it should be from a very early age. You never focus on one. I think there should be a class, because we did have religious education, and I think it's a good idea. But the way it was taught in our classes was dreadful. It should be organized from an early age. It should be one of your core classes. Maybe not core classes, but maybe it should be integrated with another subject like cultural studies, where you talk about, from a young child, you're like, you tell them, all right, here are all the religions, and we're going to talk about them all year. We're going to talk about them equally all year, and what their deities teach, and what their people believe. And then have facilities in the school for all of those religions, or at least the majority of them, to go and worship, rather than force a very clear focus on one religion. And even when it was being taught to us as religious studies, as an understanding thing, we only did I think it was Hinduism. We should do all of them, including Christianity, at least a good majority of them, including Christianity, Islamism, Hinduism, even Buddhism, definitely.
Should you do ancient religions, or is it just a sociology class? See, here's the thing.
Yeah, I do.
Religion can be involved. That's the thing, though. In my mind, religion belongs in two classes and two classes only in the public school. And if it's in a private school, sure, you can have a class just for religion's sake. But in the public school, it should only be involved in a sociology class or in a history class. If it's in a sociology class, you're exploring culture in modern religions. If it's in a history class, you're exploring culture in ancient religions. And those are where the two fit into my mind.
I'll 100% agree with that. And when it comes to history, though, I think it should be taught as history. Whereas in the other one, I do think that class should be specifically focused on indoctrinating, because that's what all education does, indoctrinating our next generation to be understanding and to have a wide range of cultural knowledge. Instead of, we're going to read you a prayer and you're going to say amen at the end of it. We're going to teach you all the prayers.
And they don't even know what the prayer means. They don't know what amen means.
And you could say, I don't want to read that. But we're not going to tell you could say that. So, until you're like 8 years old, you're not going to know you could be any other religion. And then once you're 8, you've been doing it all your life. You might as well believe in God. I mean, why wouldn't you? Everyone else does, right?
So you guys have to say a prayer every day.
Every week.
Every week. Here, yeah. I mean, we don't have to do prayers in public school. We do have to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, which is...
When we were younger, we had to do it every day.
The Pledge of Allegiance, if you've never heard it, is basically... just makes you feel like you're just in Hitler's Germany all over.
Didn't Hitler have
yes.
Pledge of Allegiance?
I've told people this, and they always think it's hilarious. The only two countries in the history of the world who have had something literally called a Pledge of Allegiance are America and Nazi Germany.
Yeah, because Hitler, as soon as Hindenburg died, he declared himself the Führer, and then he had everyone swear a Pledge of Allegiance to him.
Well, not only that, but specifically in schooling, Hitler was obsessed. Hitler was obsessed with the idea of indoctrinating children.
Oh, definitely. Hitler Youth, the League of German Maidens.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't know. I recently, like I told you, I was watching a documentary on the Nazis. I always knew about the Hitler Youth.
The Nazis.
I always knew about the Hitler Youth. I did not know how involved they were at the end of the war at fighting the Russians and the Allies in general. They formed hit squads. They formed guerrilla squads where they would go out, attack tanks and shit. They had 13...
Are you talking about the children?
Yes. They had 13, 12, 11-year-olds out there right at the end of the war. I mean, the last month, fighting the Russians because they had no one else to put in the front lines. And the great thing about it was, sure, they're youth, they're not that strong, they're inexperienced, but they're so indoctrinated at a young age, they will die for the Führer. And that's why it was so effective.
When Marshall says the great thing about it, he means for the Nazis. He doesn't mean... it's actually a great...
Yeah. That's what I meant.
This is a public podcast.
Anyway, it was very interesting to learn that. I did not know how involved the Hitler Youth was as an organization for the country until then.
Yeah, I mean, early on, they had a lot of... They were very... do you know the paramilitary... Oh, yeah, the SA and the SS later on, fighting the communists on the streets. A lot of it happened in the youth as well, like the Red Youth and the Hitler Youth. They had a lot of fights, especially
beating the communists out of Germany.
Later on in Germany, once the 40s hit, they started just they sent air field marshals where they would fly around Germany executing traitors and shit. So they had less and less fighting on the streets towards the end. It was just a shit.
They had problems with.
They had real problems in the 40s.
Well. Apparently, during the siege of Berlin, they had SS. You think, okay, it's the siege of Berlin. Everyone's got to be fighting the Russians. No, they had almost all of their SS officers roaming the streets looking for deserters. They weren't fighting the Russians. They were fighting the Germans.
Deserters, yeah. I mean, I do a whole topic on this about support, opposition, and resistance in the Third Reich, and it's so mad because it's in every country that they have so much desire to
and it makes sense in a way. You can't have people deserting an army because that's not an army, but
Hitler was just so obsessed.
He was obsessed with it way too much.
Yeah,
and I think
so he would fake they had referendums. They had entire country votes on certain policies where he would have people vote on things after he'd already implemented them and fake it so that everyone agreed with him.
Now I ask a lot of people this whenever a topic about Hitler is starting. I don't think I've asked you this.
Hitler, riding down the street in a fancy car.
No. My question is, like, what do you think was responsible? Where do you think the biggest mistake Hitler made and responsible for his downfall? I know I have thought about this and I know my answer, but
it's the
don't give me like a theory of like 10 different things. Just give me one. Just tell me the biggest mistake you think he made that was responsible for his downfall, either at the beginning, the end, in the middle, where, and what.
He should have secured allies in Africa.
You think that's his biggest mistake?
If he had crushed Northern Africa for the oil reserves, he would have been able to fight off the Russians in the Battle of Kursk.
That's a good point. See, my thing is not that. It's actually has to do with the Russians, though. I think he shouldn't have opened up a two-front war. He was screwing himself.
Well, he'd already fucked France. It wasn't really a two-front war.
It was. It became a two-front war.
It became a two-front war, but
he should have. Look, he had an ally in Russia. Stalin wasn't going to do shit, and I think if he
they hated each other,
but he wasn't going to do shit. I think if he wanted to conquer Europe, he should have focused on Britain, on crushing the most active country in Europe. Like they were the most active at fighting the Nazis and resisting them. He should have been focused on crushing them. I would have. Like if you have a country who's so focused on resisting your regime, that's the country you target. You don't randomly target Russia. You don't like.
If they had crushed Britain, they would have easily redrawn the borders for Western Europe and had all of that to themselves. You're completely correct.
And once you crush Great Britain, all of a sudden the Americans' involvement in the war shrinks. Where
also like allying Japan in general was a bad idea.
Because it brought in America into the war,
and they didn't do much in Europe.
The Japan? No, they didn't do anything in Europe.
Yes, so
here's the thing. Well, the only reason allying Japan is a good idea is because it keeps the Americans occupied. But
because they would have got involved eventually, definitely.
Here's the thing, and you would have had to deal with Japan eventually.
Did you know one of the Antarctica peninsulas looks like an elephant?
I have seen that, yeah. Anyway, so you are obsessed with Google Maps right now. So, if he took out Britain, America would have no staging point to invade Europe, and so America would be out of it.
Here's the one little thing: is that invading Britain as a European nation might well have been harder than Russia.
Maybe, yeah. No, the fleet problem was big. and that's why he originally held off. You know, actually, if you look at the downfall of Hitler and the downfall of Napoleon, they're very similar. And I think it just goes to show that conquering all of Europe presses the same challenges each time. And that is, you can't cross the channel and you can't attack Moscow. And those are the two things that are responsible for the downfall of Napoleon, and they're the two things that were responsible for the downfall of Hitler, in my mind.
Also, another mistake was he did it too early. He declared on Russia too early.
Exactly.
It wasn't in the right place.
It wasn't in the right place, and he didn't secure enough oil.
Or Lebensraum.
Well, yeah, plenty of Lebensraum. No,
he didn't. It was infested by all the Jordan. No, that's the thing. That's the thing you've got to keep in your mind, and that's the thing everyone's got to keep in their mind, is that there was Hitler. All of these things, all these theories, wait to attack Russia. They were never going to happen. I don't think they was ever going to happen, because in his mind, that it wasn't a war about conquering Europe. I don't think it was a war about finding somewhere he can fix the biggest problem that was plaguing Europe at the time. He was doing the world a favor. He was fixing Europe, and he
especially
had to have control over Siberia.
If you look at the death camps and the executions, they really picked up as soon as the Nazis started to lose the war. As soon as the Nazis started to feel pressure.
Because they didn't want to kill him at the start. They wanted to just get rid of them.
People make this argument.
I have done a number of 5,000 word essays on this. I will send it to you if you want.
You can. It's
my best work.
When you hear a speech in 1933 of Hitler screaming at the top of his lungs, we are going to execute and exterminate all the Jews.
Now, he never said that.
He has said that.
Not in 1939.
He said that, yes.
He said war would be caused by the Jews, and the result of war would be the extermination of the Jewish race. He did not say...
I think trying to say that he. I mean, okay. You're saying that he never planned to exterminate the Jews.
What time?
From the beginning.
From what beginning? 33?
From the beginning of the Nazi Party.
Yeah, no.
You think he was just like, we're going to deal with them, but we're not going to kill them all?
I think the very beginning of the Nazi Party, it was Germans first, socialism. I think from there it grew into anti-Semitism with the wants of the electorate, because Europe was anti-Semitic at the time, very anti-Semitic. And
still
I'm
are.
not...
I'd argue that the world has always been anti-Semitic for some reason.
It's very good evidence.
It's
to prove.
rough. It's rough to be a Jew. I don't know why everyone hates them. I like Jewish people, personally. I've only had good experiences with them, so I like. In fact, I think they want to look.
Wait, have you? Well,
here's the reason people don't like Jews. I think. Jacob. No. That is a hilarious joke, but no. I think the reason people don't like Jews is because they have always been a religion without a home. And people don't like people visiting their house too long. You know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Jews have always been in a place where they're not welcome. And so it's not necessarily people hate Jews, people just don't like people who don't belong. Like, if Muslims were roaming around the streets of Europe at the time...
at the time, okay.
They would have been...
Which they actually kind of were, actually.
The ones to be exterminated. If Christians...
I've done studies into this.
If Christians weren't welcomed in Europe, they would have been the ones to be exterminated. It's the fact that, like... It's the fact that they aren't in their home. I think that's why people never like them. And I think that's ridiculous. It's more of a... Another reason why religion is so shitty is that it, caused all these people to die. So anyway, but like if you look at it towards the end of the war, when he started feeling the pressure, the killing off of the Jews became systematic and exponential. I mean, they started just being like, okay, how are we gonna do this the fastest way possible? Then that's when they developed the gas, whatever it's called.
Well, to be fair to your point, it wasn't late; it was early in the war, like early in the bad part in terms of the war. Like to support your point, what was it called? The Wannsee Conference was like 41, 42. It wasn't like 44. Let's start killing the Jews. It was like, all right, we're starting to lose. Let's kill the Jews.
No, really like cool. They started. No, but I mean when Russia started pushing back their borders and America's
New Year offensive.
And especially when we invaded Normandy, they were like, okay, time to start killing Jews. Like they start. Like I'm not saying that's when they said start, but that's when they decided they had to finish. I think that's when Hitler, in his psychotic.
Well, if you want to find a date, because I don't have it to hand, you can look up the Wannsee Conference, and that was the exact day that they decided.
But I think in his psychotic mind, that's when he said, okay, I don't have much time left. They're going to conquer Berlin soon. I have to finish my work.
But he didn't. He failed.
There are no Jews in Europe.
That's not true.
They were almost all killed, and the ones who were left moved to Jerusalem. There might be some now. I don't know. I haven't been to Europe.
Well, in football, Jerusalem is part of Europe, so I consider it to be part of Europe.
Oh.
So,
okay. Yeah. Well, I guess.
Anyway, no,
see, that's racist. That's super racist, because it's like saying, oh, well, they're part of Europe. Well, aren't they in the Middle East? Yeah, but they're white people.
I don't even like the term Middle East, though.
Okay, but then you have to say that entire area is in Europe, too. I mean, is Europe... Then, I mean, I think there should be a different term for that, because then you're saying Europe is everything touching the Mediterranean, almost.
Or the Black Sea.
Or the Black Sea.
Or the Baltic Sea.
Okay. So,
or the North Sea.
So,
actually, no.
So
Mediterranean,
North Africa...
Algeria is totally not in Europe.
So North Africa and the Middle East are also part of Europe in this definition, which I'm okay with, because...
I didn't say the Mediterranean one. Are you just talking about someone else?
No, I'm just saying I'm just saying throughout history, this has been an important place. Like, if you look at, Nazi Germany, Napoleon's empire, the Roman Empire, all these great kingdoms were around this area, the Mediterranean, going up into the Baltic, like you said. And that, if you look at it, is like is what you call, I would say, Greater Europa. Let's call that Europa Universalis. But yeah. Now, you say you don't like the term Middle East a lot. What would you say instead of Middle East?
I don't know. Like, I completely agree with you that there isn't really a ready-made term. I was thinking the other day Euro-Asia, perhaps.
See, I would consider that Siberia.
Yes, a lot of people do. Yeah, I get you.
And
the reason is
Euro-Asia, I think when you use that term, I think of Europe and Asia combined as a continent. I don't think of the Middle East. So I think that's why that term's weird.
I get that.
A lot of people want to put Europe and Asia as a continent together just because they're connected.
Same landmass.
So well. And even though, like, technically, like, Africa is technically connected to Asia, it's got that tiny connection. And even though technically North America is connected to South America, it's got that tiny connection. And I think a lot of...
Suez Canal. On the other...
A lot of people want to say Europe is a part of Asia because it's hugely connected. It's like... It's almost just like it's its arm, you know? But I mean,
I know this is a loose thing, but now I've been reasonably educated toward this topic, and this is where the education on my mind comes to a drop. I want to say there's more of a cultural unity in Europe when compared to Asia. You know what I mean? Like, the culture in Europe is different to the culture in Asia. There's more of a bind. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying there? Because that's really badly worded. Do you want me to start again?
Are you saying that Europe is more united as a culture?
No, I'm just saying I think there is a cultural bind between European countries. That's what differentiates, not like landmass. That Europe is culturally binded, just like Asia is culturally binded.
Oh, yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah. That's the reason it's a continent, is because it has the same culture. I agree with that. I think that's the only reason it's a culture. Well, I think the reason Europe is a continent is because it has a similar culture. Also, because it's where all the power had been in the first.
Still is
in the first 2,000 years of civilization. Yeah. Not the first. 2,000. The last 2,000 years of civilization. All the power, really, in the world had been there. I mean, sure, there had always been power in China. But, like, I feel like China has always been exploited by other nations. And
I'm very interested with China. I
am, too. I think, here's the thing. I think people like to say, China's getting really powerful. It's like, yeah, but...
But their internet is all moderated.
No. I think at the end of the day, China, as they always have always been powerful. And they've always had more people than the rest of the planet. Okay, well, not the rest of the planet combined, but you know what I mean? They've always had a ridiculous amount of population. Yeah. They've always been very powerful. They've always had great trade. The difference is they've always been used by other countries, whether that's by Europe as a whole, whether that's by Japan. Now they're
the Mongols.
Being used by the Mongols. People argue that they're becoming more powerful than America. I argue that they're being used by America to make America more powerful. I think.
I don't think Brazil are using them to become any more powerful.
Then by the U.S. Wait, so Peru is?
Yeah, Peru might be. I don't know.
Those Peruvians, god damn it. No, but I think the U.S. is using China to make it more powerful. They're extending their own power through China's. People are like, well, China has their production is going up. Well, you know what they produce? Plastic toy soldiers. They produce knickknacks and paddywhacks. America produces airplanes and cars and tanks. I think America, I always go all America, and people think I'm being patriotic. I'm just being an economist. And I think, in my opinion, China is being used. And I think for them to ever become a true power, they need to stop relying on other countries for trade so much, and they need to become their own country. And I think the reliance on trade is what has made them a slave.
Here is very much a demonstration of where our political policies separate. Because while you go down that very economic route, my opinion on where China needs to go from here is very social. It's very much like their economy is already booming so much that if they opened their borders a little bit more and allowed an influx of a population and an export
influx of a population.
Yeah, from all over the world, different cultures, different manufacturing techniques to come in. I think that would help. If the media was more open and people were politically educated, that could stimulate a new political scene.
Oh, I definitely think that, yeah.
I think that's where China needs to go from here, is to open their borders up a little more and open up the minds of their people, which I never think is going to happen.
I agree with that too. I definitely don't disagree with that. I
just think that's what my primary concern is, where I think you think a lot more economically about the world.
I think China is being used. Like I said, I think it's being used.
I don't like that, but I can't disprove it. But it just sounds weird. China's being used by America because America's the best, and we got control over them.
No, they're being used because they've always been used by different countries, and it's just the same old story. Like, they're powerful, but their power is always bent to someone else's will, and whether that's now, I do think it is really cool. Like, it's a really cool country in general, culturally.
I mean, the fun thing is that they've chosen to say fuck you to the rest of the world right now in politics. They've chosen to just say we're just not going to enter it, and they're allowed to do that, and that's important.
I do think their economy in general is a clusterfuck because it's a mixture of capitalism and communism, and I don't think it really makes sense. I never understood it. I still don't. Never will. Now, I mean, maybe I will if someone explains it to me, but every time I ask an economist, they're like, yeah, I don't want to get into that. And I'm like, well, who's going to get into it?
The Chinese, but they won't let any of them leave.
They won't let anyone know how their economy works. Like, you know what I mean, though? Like, it's a mix of communist economic policy with capitalist social doctrine. Well, at the same time, they also have communist social doctrine. But, like, for example, they have shopping malls, even though no one can afford to shop at malls. Like, it doesn't make sense. Anyway.
It does. It's just so hard for us to comprehend.
Well, how does it work?
I don't know, because I'm also from the same cultural group as you. So it
doesn't make sense.
To us.
Exactly. That's the point of... what do you think doesn't
just
make sense?
Just because it doesn't make sense to us.
That's what I meant. It doesn't make sense to us. What?
Right, okay.
What else? What else would that mean? I don't mean it doesn't make sense to anyone. Everything makes sense to someone. I don't get it.
Does 2 + 2 = 3 really make sense to someone?
I'm sure it does. I'm sure someone can make sense of it. Someone who hasn't been educated at all in math, for example, that would make sense. Well, actually, no, that wouldn't make sense. Well, okay, maybe not that, but yeah, I guess that's a bit of too much of an ultimate. But
I think we've taken a nosedive in my education about 10 minutes ago, but I think they're important. They're very, very important to keep an eye on. I think they will be a leading superpower in the future to really keep an eye on, and I think one of these days they're going to join the world stage and they're going to be one of the most important people on it.
I definitely think they should join the world stage, and I think it's important for them to do it if we're going to...
I think everyone should. Yeah.
If we're going to work through any problems.
I mean, that's the thing, to go full circle and talk to what we were talking an hour ago. And I know this might be a little bit off topic, but we're just talking about working together as countries.
So, you know how you've been talking about the Independence Party in Britain?
Ah! Well, I was hoping to circle back to that. Yes, go
on. There is a interesting thing here where a lot of conservatives now are talking about leaving the U.S., leaving the United Nations. And what I find hilarious about this is the United Nations is in New York. It makes no sense at all. We're hosting the damn thing. It's like you invite everyone to a party and said, "Okay, I'm out."
Peace.
See ya. Y'all's are all losers. I'm going to the bowling alley. Like it's a dick move and it doesn't achieve anything.
Yeah. This is what we were talking about. Hopefully one day we can all work together. I think. Because there's a very good chance that in the next 4 years the UK is going to leave the European Union. If that happens, that will be the last straw. I will give up on world politics succeeding, because if we give up on such an opportunity,
and such an easy thing, it's simple.
Well, there's arguments that I don't necessarily disagree with, that it is a big drain on our economy, but I don't care. That's not what it's about.
Exactly. I mean, it's like saying providing people healthcare is a big drain on our economy. Okay,
yeah.
People need to survive. Some things are worth it. What is the point of an economy? To provide for people. In fact, do you know the definition of the study of economics? I was told this in my economy class, and I really like the definition. They told us on the first day, and they said it on the last day. It's like one of those weird movie things.
Yeah.
The definition is the study. The study of fulfilling infinite needs with scarce resources. That is the study of economics. So basically,
Wow.
people could want everything in the world, but they can't have it. And that's economics. You have to decide what people can have. And I think that's a really simple, broken down way of describing it, you know? Do you agree?
I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I like it because it doesn't get into all the bullshit. It doesn't get into all these principles. It just says, what's economics, kids? It's about getting things to people. You know, I like it.
I know you like
Because people get
we were
obsessed with money, and I don't like that. Because money isn't inherently an economic principle. Anyway, what were you saying?
We were in business class today.
Yeah, business class.
Yeah, and we were doing like budgeting terms, and one of them was consistency. And we were asked for a definition, and I said consistency is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Just thought you might like or hate that.
Isn't that Einstein's definition of insanity?
Ah, Einstein. See, like 2 years ago, you didn't know where that was from, and neither did I. But yeah.
Well, it's from Far Cry 3 as well.
Yeah, you thought it was only from there. You thought it came from there.
Yeah, I found out it was from Einstein later, I believe. But yeah, isn't that the exact definition that Einstein used for insanity, though? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a funny definition. I think consistency is doing the same thing over again, regardless. You know, I don't think the results matter.
Yeah, I know. It was a
It's
joke.
a joke. God damn it, Marshall!
British
You
jokes should
piece
never
of shit,
deserve
Marshall. Well, you're supposed to say punchline. No, I don't know. Yeah.
Is that American comedy?
No,
Is it punchline
no.
comedy? Is that why I don't get it?
Well, yeah, a lot of American comedy is punchline comedy, but I just think it's different. I've never really laughed a lot at a lot of British comedy. I don't know. I laugh at things that are funny. If it's not funny, I'm sorry. No, like.
Wow.
I tell people that, and they always get really mean.
Oh shit! I haven't told you this yet. This is gonna be cool. I know we're back on video games. And if anybody wanted video games on this podcast, they're so screwed. But I was having a ride home with my friend the other day, and I told him about Dota 2, and he said, "Oh, I don't know about it." And I said, "It's a Valve game," and he first of all said, "I don't like Valve games." But
Whoa.
Now I said, "Oh, you must not know what they are." So I started listing them.
He must be a real dickhole.
He's a PC gamer master race. I was like, I'm taking your card away.
He's not a master race. He's like the subclass.
I know, right? So I started listing. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sure you don't know what they are." Portal, and he's like, "Shit." I'm like, okay.
Shit.
Yeah, he hated Portal.
Seriously, fuck him. Okay, continue.
Half-Life, he was like, "Shit." TF2
the
is
first
like,
game
really
I ever
shit.
played, Half-Life.
Well, the other ones I said, I didn't say Left 4 Dead, because they only published.
Like
it, right?
you saying, giving me that story of you saying Half-Life and him saying shit. It'd be like if I told you a story of I was like Earthbound and the guy said shit.
Oh god.
Like it was so influential to me as a gamer.
Here's the thing, right? Like. I kind of get it sometimes when people don't get Nintendo culture, because it's Nintendo culture, but you're a PC gamer, like you've got to like at least some Valve games, right?
You gotta count. Like, do you like? Does Counter-Strike?
He loves Steam.
Dota.
He loves Steam. Oh, I said Counter-Strike, and he said he thinks it's shit.
So he just thinks all games are shit because you just named like games from a variety of different genres.
He likes Europa Universalis, and he loves Fallout. So.
What the?
Where do you stand on this kid?
Shit, I don't. Who is he? I feel like he's trolling you or something. Like,
yeah. Dude, we're approaching record podcast level.
Oh god, yeah. I've gotta go soon. So we should, if we can, we should probably wrap this up.
Right.
We've been really going on about stuff, but I don't know. We were rolling with it today. It's pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy.
Did you enjoy today's podcast? I did.
Yeah.
I think we talked about a lot of really like deep stuff. Dude, do you realize all this deep shit we've been talking about all resulted from a talk about Deus Ex?
Deus Ex, which it's mostly related.
Yeah, and like I think that just shows like video games, especially Deus Ex, are just so more educational and political than people like to say they are. And
Deus Ex is so.
Oh my god, it's so political and geographical and and cultural.
Economics. There's a lot of
Economical.
economics in there.
That's not a word. Wait, is it?
Economical's a word.
Economic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Sorry.
Economical,
Okay. Sometimes I say things doesn't sound right, and I discount it off saying it's not a word, and then people are like, "No, that's a word." Anyway, but yeah, it was good topics. So, would you like to get to our Fallout wishes and fears for today?
You know, maybe we should just do that next.
We said that last time.
Okay, fine. I forgot where I put them though.
Are we on 7? Shit.
I don't think we're on 7.
What are we
I
on?
think we're on 6, but let me just have a quick look, because I can't find my wishes a second. But to cap off our little thing, do you mind if I just say one little paragraph? Because I've been trying to put this together for an essay recently. About 200 years ago, I'd say, or maybe a little bit earlier than that, the world went through a startling period of nationalism where little countries started popping up everywhere and segregation of government started popping up everywhere. And for a period of time, that was the liberal way of thinking. More people governing themselves in little areas. And still to this day, a lot of interesting theories are local autonomy and people governing themselves in a local area. But I truly believe that peace will only come when, in some way, shape, or form, legislature is coming to every part of the world from a centralized government.
You're right.
And I truly believe it.
Well, here's the thing, and I think the reason people are so against the idea of bigger countries and bigger governments is because they associate that with
Putin.
What?
It's Putin's the problem.
They associate that with warlords. People eat up smaller countries and then make those people suffer. And that, of course, that's not what we're talking about, by the way, guys. If you are listening to this and you disagree, we're talking about a peaceful organization of countries. And that's exactly, I agree with you completely. And I think that's why people are against it fundamentally.
Can't come through war. It can't come through war.
Exactly.
For it to work, yeah.
Because by the definition of that, you're then forcing people into something they don't like, and that's just going to create more war.
And here's my problem. I think that's the only way to peace, and I don't think any country's electorate in the world would agree to that at the moment. That's my biggest thing. But
and would you like me to tell you why?
I feel like I would like to hear this.
The reason no country in the world would agree to that is the fundamental root of all evil in modern and even ancient society. Would you like to know what that is? I've told you before.
I know it's not money, right?
Money, yeah.
Oh. I thought that was too cliche.
No, I think it is. Even if it is cliche, I don't think people talk about. I think people. Here's the thing. I think people say money is the root of all evils as a cliche.
I found it. Sorry, I found the list.
I think people say
money is the root of all evil
as a cliche, and they don't take it as a serious problem. And I seriously, actually, am for the taking out of money out of economical systems. It doesn't make any sense. It creates problems where there are none. It literally does that. It is a problem-creating machine. It creates poverty where there wouldn't have been any if money didn't exist. And the only reason anyone can argue for it to be there is so that some people can have a really good life. And that's the only reason you can argue it, is because I'm selfish and I want this really awesome life. That to me is ridiculous. I mean, sure, if you're saying that, hey, at least you're proud. But that's the only argument in my mind for money to exist now. And I think we can move past that. And I think a lot of people, they say it as a cliche, but they don't actually think about it as a real concept of taking it out of our system. But anyway, I think if money was out of economical systems, countries would be a lot more leaning towards uniting together. That's all. I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm a capitalist. In a lot of ways, I lean that way. Capitalist, socialist, communist, all of those are for money. It doesn't matter. But
in a lot of ways, I'm for a large amount of economic freedom of the individual. But
so am I.
I would like to see more, and I have seen. But that's an interesting thing to look at, is the removal of currency and the effects it would have.
I will argue that currency hinders economic freedom by a large extent because it puts a cap on what you can have based on how much money you have. Okay, and that right there is the definition of hindering someone's economical freedom. You don't have as many choices because I'm not saying everyone can't have a boat. Like, but seriously, not everyone can have a boat because money exists. And for those of you listening who are like, well, this guy's an idiot. He's just a naive child who wants a utopia where everyone eats sunshine candy all day. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Are
you sure?
I think it's whenever I bring it up, people immediately disregard it, and that's why I hate people. But I think technology is just so that, and it's interesting. Like I said earlier, the principle of economics is trying to get people's infinite wants and needs with a scarcity of resources. And that principle, scarcity, is the reason money is so profitable. Because if there's not a lot of something, it's worth more money. And the reason people are scared of technological growth is because money exists. The reason people are scared of robots replacing their jobs is because they need the jobs to make money. Okay, and that hinders economical growth. It hinders economical freedom. If technology was truly allowed to expand, we would be able to fulfill our infinite need of resources better with a higher amount of resources. Anyway, but that's all. I'm going to stop talking about it. This might be a topic for like another day where we just talk.
We really should.
Yeah, I'll stop. I'm done.
No, I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about it today. That's your choice. But if we don't, if you want to,
here's the thing. I could talk about this for 2 hours. So I'm saying we should stop it today, and we should talk about it another day.
Should I like come back with my 50% my view, 50% devil advocate view, and try and compile something that's very pro monetary, pro money?
If we're gonna do it that way, then I'll have to compile some stuff too. But yeah, we can do that. We can totally do that. Okay. If you want, it can just be a complete conspiracy fest. No.
Should we do like a 3-week like political banter sesh? Where it's like 1 week we talk about economics, 1 week we talk about social issues, and 1 week we talk about football.
But wait, what?
I feel like those would be the 3 things I'd run for as prime minister:
football,
social policies, economic policies, and football.
Good job.
I have the wish list, by the way.
Go.
And we are on 6. Yeah, we're definitely on 6.
We are. I'll let you start because
I've done great voice acting, which is 7, and I've done a no mod support, which is 7 on the other end. So yeah, definitely. You want me to start?
Yeah, I'd like you to start.
Okay, we'll end on the goods this week. So this is a nice one though. My 6th biggest fear is one we can talk about for a decent amount of time, which is unfortunate. Is a speaking protagonist. That's my 6th biggest fear.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, well,
I like you to introduce it, and then I have some things to say about it, but yeah, but let's hear your points on it first.
Okay, so one of the coolest things about the Fallout series is how much customization you can have. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest examples of this is the 2 men in this call. If you go to their YouTube channels on Fallout New Vegas, or to some degree Fallout 3, you can see that there is a whole storyline there that is massively that we obviously care about, that we've created, that probably was never ever intended to be in the game. We've created stories and characters out of something that just never talks. And what I love about Lonesome Road is it puts you in a situation where you learn more about your character, but also you still allowed to fill in your own gaps.
It's still vague as shit. Like it lets you know things, but Lonesome Road is super vague. It's like, yeah, you did this, and it's like, well, why did I do that? Oh, we don't know, but you did it.
Yeah. And I'm angry for it.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. And even it is sort of vague, but it's something. Anyway, but yeah, no.
I mean, the reason why it's so high up, I'd say, because it's reasonably high at 6, is because there's been rumors of it, and there's been a script leak that's probably fake as fuck, where there's a speaking protagonist. But the reason why it's so low down is that I have faith that they won't be that freaking stupid. They haven't done it for any of their Elder Scrolls or Fallout games in the past.
I do have a response. First, I like to say why I think also this is a bad idea, and then I'll say why I don't think it's going to happen. And I think I've told you both of these reasons. Well, definitely I've told you why I don't think it's going to happen before, but for the audience, I don't think it's a good idea, mainly from the standpoint of an LPer. Like you said, you can go to our series and you can see such diverse characters. And for me, it would take out all the fun if your character could talk. Like, that's decent, but for example, I like Walking Dead because it's fun, but I could not do a 150-part series on The Walking Dead. Why? Because Lee reads all of his fucking lines. And it bothers me. I don't like it. I like to read my own character's lines. It really helps the series. It really helps me get into my character. Almost like if you view an LPer as an actor. That helps them. That helps them get into the feeling of what their character's feeling, what they're trying to think. So yeah, definitely, it would ruin LPs for me if you didn't have their own, if you wouldn't be able to read your own lines. It would also just be bad for the game in general. I also say that for an RPG, it's bad. Some people,
not all.
I think some people were against the idea of voice acted characters, like not most people. I'm not saying that, and I like voice acted characters, but some people liked non-voice acted characters because they could also pretend that the non-voice acted character had a different voice and like all that stuff. But yeah, I like. The reason I don't think it's going to happen is there is a concept, and I'm not an expert in it, but I've researched it a little bit because I was worried about this. There's a lot of studios, when they have a secret project, they want to
fake scripts.
Keep it secret. Yes, and they're trying to search for talent. They will give them fake scripts that are completely misleading as to the topic of the video game. Okay? And so
You've told me this before, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think the reason they might have done that to completely throw people off is I'd like to say it's a complete false script, and complete bullshit just to throw people off, and they did well if they did. Like a lot of people, for example, Quentin Tarantino always titles all of his movie scripts something besides the movie. Like he titled Kill Bill Twin Falls Peak or something like that. Like he titles all of his movies really stupid shit to make sure people don't read them. Like I think there's a lot of work that movie studios and gaming studios put into making sure stuff is secret until it's actually released. And I think that's what that was. I'd like to say. So I agree with you, it's probably not going to happen, but it would be really bad.
Do you remember the ridiculous code names for games consoles over the years?
No.
Okay, so the only one that comes straight to mind is the GameCube. And it's
That's what it was called. Oh no, you're saying what its name was. Okay.
The code name was the Dolphin. Sorry, just one little thing so I can tell Graham. Do you think people should just trade, or do you think we should be using gold as some sort of currency?
What, has he been listening to this?
No, just I was just talking to him.
So you were telling him everything I thought?
Not everything.
Okay.
No.
Do I think people should trade or use gold as a currency?
Or do you think the state should just provide everything?
Neither. Basically, the idea of it is that
as short as you can.
Okay. No, because gold would just be another form of currency.
Except there's a finite amount of it though.
Yeah, but that's an even bigger problem. Then you can only trade a certain amount. That makes it even more scarce. So that's a worse idea. Trading with gold, in my opinion. Well, look, I think currency in general is kind of a fucked up topic, but and I don't think trading's a really good idea because it's really prehistoric, not prehistoric, but it's really old, and I think it is another way of using something to get something else, and you shouldn't have to do that. Now,
if you say the words resource-based economy, I'm going to stop you and we're going to move on. So, go on.
Well, that's what I was going to say, so we can move on.
Okay, so let's move on. You can talk to Graham later.
Okay.
I just feel like we'll be here for another half hour.
Okay.
Is that fair? I don't want you to
I was literally just going to say it's a resource-based economy, and that was it. That's all I was going to say.
Okay.
And Graham can chew on that.
Okay, do you want me to just tell him?
Just let him chew on
that. Okay, I'll say he says it's a resource-based economy. Smiley face.
Now
That's
don't
really
respond to
passive-aggressive.
anything he says for the next 3 hours. Anyway.
Okay.
You gotta let him chew on it. Anyway,
the dolphin.
The dolphin.
Speaking protagonist, nobody else. He says, "What is?" I won't reply. Yeah. So that's me. Do you want to give your fear, your sixth biggest fear?
My fear is actually, it's kind of, I feel like we should have coordinated these better because my sixth fear is, I think, your seventh or eighth fear. So that's weird. But my sixth fear is that it will be a console exclusive.
That's 10th for me.
10th. Shit. Okay, that was a while ago. Anyway, my sixth fear is it'll be a console exclusive. This would be so bad for the game, in my opinion. Even though I don't think it's gonna happen, it would absolutely make the game unplayable for me. Well, okay, that's not true. I probably would still buy it. It would probably make me buy a console. That's why I would hate it so much. I don't want to buy a console. And it would make me resent the game.
I would too.
And it would decrease the value of the production in so many ways. It would limit their ability to experiment. It would be so bad. It would be like jumping back 1,000,000 feet as far as development, and that would be horrible. But I don't think it's gonna happen, so I put it 6th. It's like a doomsday scenario.
6th, man. It's quite high. We're getting to the like possible things now.
See, but this is the thing. It is not very likely, but it's a doomsday scenario.
Oh, so the importance.
You have to balance out the importance with the likelihood.
Yes, exactly.
And so for me, the importance weighs this down enough to make, like, this is doomsday scenario for me. Like, horribly doomsday.
It's not that bad for me.
It's bad for me. Anyway.
I hate it. I think it's one of the worst things that could happen. But it's not like, oh shit, let's go murder Pete Hines.
Oh, definitely that's what would happen. I think I said that on a podcast once.
Yeah, you did indeed. For me, it'd be, oh shit. Click on Amazon, order Xbox One.
By the way,
Doomsday
I'm sorry I said
Yep.
that about Pete Hines. I found out he is not actually that important. He's just their marketing. He's just vice president of marketing. I just see him at all these events, and I thought he was more important. Sorry, Pete Hines. I know you're just there in the marketing pit bull, trying to market, and I understand. Do your thing, and we'll do ours. Anyway,
Pete Hines.
Hey, he does a good job at marketing. Who's gonna say he did a bad job at marketing? No, anyway.
I know you have your own favorite trailers, but the Eddie on the road.
Yeah.
Trailer.
Yeah. And he like, to be fair, he talked a lot. He seemed very excited for New Vegas in interviews. He's like, oh yeah, you get like. I saw him once. He was Angry Joe was interviewing him at some conference, and he was in front of an enormous replica of the dinosaur out in front of Prim. It was funny. So it was like the nerdiest Fallout place you could interview someone. Anyway, but yeah, so that's my 6th fear.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we need to talk about it much more. My 6th biggest wish is one that I don't quite understand, so I'm gonna try and make sense of it. I wrote cool theme. Now, I don't know No, wait. I know this means one of two things.
I'm sure it does.
Good theme music, which I doubt, or a good atmosphere. Fuck you, past Puddy. You put me in a spot here. So I'm
gonna guess it means atmosphere.
Yeah, so
It'd be weird if you said theme instead of music.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like music in here somewhere. There's voice acting. There should be.
Just
music.
Look down the
list.
What?
You know what? I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it to good music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you mean
good music?
Do you mean game music or the music
Both.
they rent for the radio?
Hmm?
Do you mean the music that the game has or the radio music?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both. Yeah.
Good.
So, can you go for a second and introduce this topic?
The music
I just
one?
need to do. You know what? I'll do it while I'm typing.
What are you
No,
typing?
you do it. What's that? Graham talks too much.
No, stop responding.
Okay. Right.
If you feed
music
him,
has always been
he will keep eating, okay?
No, stop using Dota 2 analogies. Anyway.
That is so Graham. Taking a really complex social concept and breaking it down to Dota.
Music's always been good in Fallout. I specifically like the background tracks because I think the fighting music's cool. Tranquil music's quite cool. And when you're in an NCR base, you got this military music pumping. But I think they'll probably get it right, which is why it's reasonably low down. But it's really, really important. Now, also...
And to be fair, I think, for me, that's something I'm excited about. Like, I get excited about the music in these video games, and that's why it's really cool. Like it's awesome. Music is awesome, and the music in Fallout is one of my favorite things of it. In fact, I would argue, I'm such a musically based person, I would argue some of my favorite games, the reason I like them is because of the music and not because of the games themselves. I love the games, but I would like to say that I fell in love with those games because the music drew me in. I'd like to say I have such a fondness for Fallout 3 because the music pulled me in hook, line, and sinker. I was like, what is this? This is so weird and cool, you know? So, I think for me, music is so important in video games. And it's not something that I, like, consciously decided, like, I really like music. It's something I realized about myself, that I just love music in video games, and there's nothing I can do about it, you know? But, yeah, so I agree with you. That's a really important want.
I would back you up that, for me, music is the third most important thing in video games. Just pretty.
I didn't say that specifically, but yeah, no.
I think the only two things that are more important are writing,
to story and
gameplay.
One level design. Okay.
No, drops mic. Just go on.
So story isn't important.
No. Writing, I said.
Okay, but you consider that the same thing?
No, I don't. You don't have to tell that great of a story as long as you make it sound nice. I love the story, but as long as you make it sound nice, I'll still play your game.
Mm-hmm.
I played through Borderlands 2.
I think I have to write it down somewhere because I really like the archetypes that Game Dev Tycoon broke video gaming down into. Like they broke it down into sound, level design, gameplay, graphics. I think they said dialogue.
There was world design.
I really like the archetypes that game broke games down into, and I used it in reviews. Like on the few reviews I did, I used those to go through and think about what I thought about everything. Anyway, I love those archetypes. Really cool.
Yeah.
Game Dev Tycoon did a good job. Anyway,
it didn't when it came out.
I think it was well researched even when it came out. But anyway.
Well researched, certainly. A great game? No.
Anywho, but I was talking about the archetypes. So anyway, but yeah, that's all I have to say about music. But would you like me to say my?
No, we'll save that for next week.
What?
All right, guys.
What the fuck? No. That would be out of order. That makes no sense. Okay. My sixth wish is that Puddy would stop being such a douchebag. No. Oh god. Okay. Oh god. What was my sixth? Okay, here it is. So. Oh god. Okay. My sixth wish is, and this is kind of vague, but it's also specific. No, it's specific. I want more.
It's kind of vague, but it's also kind of specific. It's specific.
Anyway, more. I wrote down flashbacks, and I know what I mean, but it's kind of hard to write. I know. What I mean is, okay, so an example of that is in Fallout 3, for example, you get to go through Tranquility Lane, and it gives you a view of pre-war America. In Operation Anchorage, you get to see pre-war America. Those types of things. I really like that.
Well, Operation Anchorage was pre-war Canada, right?
No, Alaska.
Oh, right.
Anchorage, Alaska. Right. Anyway.
In that case, I will correct you. U.S. Go on.
It's still in America. You can't say that's like correcting me for saying a rectangle is a square when it is a square. Oh wait, shit, no, sorry. That's like you correcting me for saying a square is a rectangle when it is a rectangle. I can say that Alaska is in America.
No, a rectangle is a square.
No, a square is a rectangle.
A square is a four-sided shape. A rectangle is a four-sided shape where the length is longer than the width.
Okay, the only definition of a rectangle is it's a four-sided shape with four right angles, and the definition.
That's a square's definition.
A square's definition is a four-sided shape with four right angles and four even sides. So it adds the four even sides.
A rectangle can't have four even sides, though.
Exactly. So
a square can't be a rectangle because it doesn't have. Because a rectangle doesn't have.
No. God damn it. A square is a rectangle because the definition of a rectangle is a shape with 4 right angles, and that's it. Okay? It doesn't say anything about 4 equal sides. So a square fits into that hierarchy. A rectangle does not have 4 equal sides, so it cannot fit into the square's hierarchy.
Okay.
Specifically. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you do. Okay, whatever.
I do. I just looked up the definition and you're right, but I don't like it.
What? Okay. Anyway. See, earlier you criticized me for going against pure fact, which is what you just did. Okay. Anyway. But yeah.
That's... Okay.
What are you gonna... you...
Am I gonna argue with math? Yes. Yes, I am, because shapes are stupid.
What?
And it's the only module I failed in my GCSE maths exam. Because
it's called shapes? Wouldn't it be called geometry?
Nope, it's called shapes.
Well, that's stupid. You failed something called... You failed a test called shapes.
Not a test, it was an exam.
Anyway, so...
I still got an A overall.
Let me be specific. So, yeah, like, I'd like more views of pre-war America. Something I'd always really wanted is to see something from the day the bombs dropped. That would be awesome. I don't want the whole game to be there because I think that'd be too intense. Maybe. But no, I just want to see a glimpse of it. I just want to be there, like, you're there making breakfast with your wife, and all of a sudden, you have to run into the shelter. Like, that'd be cool. Something like that. But what do you think about that?
I prefer it the way they did it with Raoul, where characters told stories of that day. I much prefer that, because
I like that, too.
A lot more... I leave it more up to interpretation. I think... I like other characters being haunted by it rather than your character having it in his background.
No, I don't want my character having his background. I don't know how they're going to work it in, but they worked it in... Basically, it would be worked in with Sims, probably, because it worked really well with the 2 simulations, and I like that. Maybe I should change this to more simulations. I like the sim levels, because they sort of changed up the gameplay in a very fundamental way. Like, not fundamental, but... Like, for example, when you're in Tranquility Lane, things are different. You don't have your inventory. You're a child, for one. That's crazy. And you have to run around and do what this woman says if you want to get out. I think Sims are really cool in the game, and I think more Sims would be awesome. So I'll change it to that. You had a change, I had a change. We both changed.
Yeah, we did both change.
No, we did. So, saying it's Sims, what do you think about Sims in the game?
I also don't like the Sims.
You don't? I always really wanted to break into the Sims at the Boomers base. I really wanted to. I was like, I kept thinking the first time I played it, I'm like, no, there's a way to do this. And they kept talking about it. They're like, no, you're not allowed to go there. And I'm like, you're just saying that. I'm going to break in there. And I'm like, dang it, there's no way to break in there.
I'm pretty sure like there's like a speech checking box that lets that there, oh, you can go try them out. But then you can't actually go try them out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is what pissed me off. There were several speech things that made me think it was a thing. And then it wasn't a thing. Maybe that should be my wish. No more trickiness. No, but anyway.
No more cock tease simulations.
Yeah, it's taken such an evolution. Flashbacks, simulations, cock tease simulations. No, but so you don't like simulations?
I just didn't enjoy the 2 and 3. I didn't think the gameplay was that great because I didn't mind the Tranquility Lane one, but I didn't love the location. And Anchorage, I liked the location, but I just didn't love the gameplay.
Okay. You can't have 2 worlds. No, I'm just kidding. I just remember when you were playing it in Fallout 3, you I don't know, you seemed like you loved it a lot. Although it was hard.
What, is this Anchorage?
It was hard, yeah. Wait, what'd you just call it?
Anchorage.
Okay, yeah. You did say a lot of good things about it at the time, but it was hard to hear anything you were saying over the blatant cheating. Like, one funny thing about your Fallout 3 series is you were always obsessed with glitching the game. And I was like, okay, if you're gonna cheat, just cheat. But why are you looking for complicated glitches? I know it was because you were on console, but it was just so funny. It was like a PC Master Race moment. It was like, look, if I want to get a bunch of items, I just get a bunch of items. I don't need to go through.
It wasn't like I cheated the items in. They were items I had gotten. I just wasn't allowed to take them back. There was no gain to it. I just liked that assault rifle, so I wanted it.
Yeah. But like at the beginning, what was funny is you kept rolling it back because you realized people would be pissed. At first you were like, yeah, I'm gonna do the Gary's glitch, but there's a rule. First I have to get a house, then I have to get 1,000 caps and all that. And I'm like, that's the easiest thing in the world. And so you do that and you realize, well, that wasn't much of a challenge. Maybe I should put another rule in. Okay, no unlimited ammunition. Okay, now I can't use the guns. And you just kept like, and then eventually when you got out, I think you were basically, the only thing you had was like, okay, I'm only going to use the armor. And when you got out, you're like, oh, it failed. Oh, well. It was so funny. And later on, one of my, like literally something that made me furious that you did was glitching out the bounty hunters that were trying to get you.
Yes.
That made me so angry. It's like, what, why? What, you don't, just, why? It pissed me off.
You know, I don't like the bounty hunters in 3. I don't like them in New Vegas.
You don't like the bounty hunters? Like, because they're random and tough, or what?
Yeah. Just not fun.
They are really random.
And also, it doesn't make sense that they keep sending them out.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I guess. Here's the thing. I don't mind the bounty hunters when I'm in the middle of traveling, but if I'm in the middle of something important like dialogue, I hate when they pop up.
Yes, Raul, I'd love to hear about your sister, but there's 40 of them.
That's one of the problems with Skyrim's dialogue system. It's really cool, and I like it that it lets the world breathe while you're talking to someone. I do like that. But it causes some interesting problems with random dragon attacks. Well, you'll be talking to someone, and it's like...
Yes, Helga, I'd love to hear about your story, but there's thousands of them.
One of my favorite moments from my Skyrim series, I'm not sure if you watched every episode, but one thing I did was I was at the gate of Windhelm, and I was talking to the stable guy.
I know the moment.
Yes,
Yeah, go
it
on.
was perfect. And I was like, hello, good stable guy. And I was just talking to him, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm really scared of dragons. And then literally, and he's like, I would hate to be burnt to death and killed by a dragon. That's why I don't adventure. And literally a dragon attacks.
And he's just crawling up behind. I would hate to see a black dragon right behind
Yeah,
me.
and literally, Susie says that a dragon burns him to death, and I'm like, well, that was awkward. But that was great. Anyway, I think that's all for the Fallout.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how this is edited, dude, this could be a record-length podcast.
Yeah, I gotta go through this and edit some things. It's got some.
Yeah, it's just one. Like, it's currently record-length, but you've got to take some shit out, so we're not sure.
Yeah, we're not sure.
But anyway, aside from that, Marshall's gonna end off with the return of the Easter egg. So nobody's got it so far, which is fine, and we wasn't expecting anyone to get it for a while.
Wait, oh shit! I had it written down. 1 second.
While you find that, I'll recap what the rules are. Marshall's gonna say a sentence. This sentence is gonna relate to a video on his channel. If you can guess which video he's referring to, we'll give you some sort of prize. Maybe a free Steam game, maybe just a mention. I haven't figured it out yet, but once somebody wins, I'll actually get a prize
And
together.
I'd like to add a helper for this. On this clue, 2 videos would work. Two different ones would work. I would accept 2.
So Marshall's gonna say a sentence right after we wrap up. Any final words?
I had a good time today. We talked about some serious shit. We really had to, work through some problems in the world. But yeah, it was good. It was good. That's all.
Alright, well, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please see us next week. Next week we're going to be having a normal podcast again. Maybe even a socioeconomic analysis podcast. And then later on in the night we're going to be doing a live stream recapping and reacting to WWE Extreme Rules. We're going to go extreme, man.
And next week,
spelt with an
for
X.
next week's gaming podcast, did you say this? I think maybe you didn't, but we're hoping to get a guest.
Perhaps,
yes.
yes. Maybe we'll get 2 guests, each on our side of the argument.
Oh, so we're doing the whole political thing next week.
I mean, we'll talk about it.
Oh, yeah, because we're
further.
doing that. Getting guests will be awkward, and Daniel's weird. No, just kidding.
Daniel and Graham, because I know Graham...
Oh, my God, because Graham's super British. He's, super
right-wing.
Yeah, he's very right-wing. One time I said I was a feminist, and he was like, oh, you pussy. And I was like, what? He said something like that.
I don't like feminists, but that's another topic.
He said that too. I mean, God. Anyway, I think people who don't like feminists are men. But so
I think we shouldn't be calling it feminism. I think we should just be calling it an equality movement. But anyway, we'll move on to another topic. another day. Lots of controversy, even more controversial than the global warming stuff. So, if you're interested, please subscribe, please like, please favorite, please comment, and stay classy. Suplex City, bitch.
He would make an awesome dog, but he's a shitty person.